we had this one woman who was a friend of ours who had her own radio show, and she did something called Evolution, where she would talk about a musical artist and then how their songs influenced these people, who influenced these people, and it was actually a really well-crafted show.
That sounds actually really interesting.
Then we were just trying to shock jock it up, and had nothing interesting to say. It's the worst thing in the world, and I thought it'd be kind of fun one day to just embarrass ourselves on the podcast.
Yeah.
And I would play a portion of mine if you could find some terrible recording of you from high school. Or
I have some home movies that we made when I was a kid. I used to record my own silly radio shows too, but I don't think I have any of those left. But I can probably find some VHS tapes with my old home movies.
Cringe fest.
We made a really good one where there was a giant shark, and I was the shark hunter that got hired to kill the shark.
Who hired the shark hunter?
I guess the sheriff? Whatever the person of authority that my brother was playing.
Yeah.
Honestly, we just remade Jaws, but it was 3 minutes long and it was terrible.
Yeah.
But we had a big plastic shark, and we had some action figures, and we had a fish pond. So, I mean, those action shots, I mean, they made themselves.
Holds up still today.
Oh, it's better than the prequels. I mean,
it's like Jurassic Park.
Oh, yeah.
The what you filmed was so good.
I feel like
the special effects still hold up.
I feel like they really aped our film when they made Jurassic Park.
That's a bold statement.
Yeah. No, I think it's a valid statement, though. I agree it's bold. I agree it's far-reaching, but I think it's true. And I think if you called Steven Spielberg right now, he would agree. He would say, yeah, we stole from your show.
Begrudgingly, finally, he would open up. You know, you're on a talk show couch, and he finally says, it's been long enough. The truth is, I imitated the Shark Hunter.
Yeah. That wasn't the name.
What was the name?
Probably like Shark Movie.
Welcome back to the FoundryCast. I'm Cyrus.
And I'm Zach.
And this is episode 13. Unlucky number 13.
I say lucky, you say unlucky. Let's call the whole thing off. Bye, everybody. I'm just kidding.
We had Friday the 13th just a few weeks ago.
We did, yeah, not too long ago. A couple weeks ago, yeah.
Did you feel anything going on special?
No, but my good friend, who's a Knights Templar, got murdered.
Oh.
Yeah. Weirdest thing.
I was going to say my friend Jason was acting weird. But that would be a Friday the 13th reference.
Oh, I get it. I get jokes. Cyrus, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. It's been a fun week for nerddom. There just seems to be
all kinds of
little teasers of things coming out, updates to movie trailers.
Yeah.
A new trailer came out for Power Rangers, which
I haven't watched that yet.
Yay
or nay? Nay. I heard it was bad.
Well, and this is something that I talked about with someone at work here recently. I don't know why they're rebooting a franchise and keeping some things the same, but not really being truthful to...
Yeah, they're making a gritty reboot.
Which is okay.
No, it's not okay in a series that is nothing about that.
Well, here's the issue. If you're not going to stick with the nostalgia aspect...
Yeah.
Then you're not going to keep your previous audience.
Yeah.
So why are you keeping any of it faithful for your new audience?
Yeah.
Just tell a new story.
It's like the new Ninja Turtles movies. Who are you really going to capture kids with that? Or the new Transformers, of course. I shouldn't complain because the new Transformers make bank. Overseas at least. But it's like the new Transformers, like they absolutely disrespected the fans that grew up with the original Transformers, so they made... it's stuff that nobody likes.
The new Transformers are not for you and me.
No, they're for
the new Ninja Turtles
the Chinese
movies.
Audience, apparently.
Yeah. Oh, and they do quite well, and that's
they
good.
Do extremely well over there.
Good for Michael Bay.
Yeah.
But Ninja Turtles, the characters are still the same. Leonardo is Leonardo. Donatello is still Donatello.
Yeah.
There's still a little bit of fun that I remember from my childhood.
I will say I have seen a few kids here and there wearing Ninja Turtles gear.
Yeah.
So I guess they like that movie.
It's still popular.
Yeah.
But Power Rangers was for kids, but it had this kind of classicness to it because of how it was made with the Sentai footage.
Yeah, it was hokey and wonderful. It was different
And if they want to go gritty, because everything else is as gritty.
Everything else is gritty, yeah.
And they're the teenagers with attitude. And, the cast seems great. Very competent.
Yeah.
You have one of my favorite actresses right now playing Rita Repulsa.
Oh, okay.
And then the Zord doesn't look like the Zord.
Yeah.
The Megazord doesn't look at all like the Megazord.
Yeah.
They make it some alien with sparkly bits.
Yeah.
And I do appreciate that Goldar is now a giant creature made of gold, and that's part of the plot. Yeah. It's dumb, but it kind of works.
I don't know. I just you can't make a gritty, down-to-earth, mature drama action movie and have your villain be named Rita Repulsa.
Well, do you know what they did with her?
What?
Did you notice her color scheme?
I didn't see the new trailer.
She's green colored. There's some homage to her being the original Green Ranger. And I thought, that's a cool, smart story.
Okay.
You can work with that, but then you still make it's still a space alien battle movie.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just thinking of the new Godzilla movie they made, which I'll be upfront, I haven't seen. But I've seen clips of it, and it just doesn't... I appreciate the idea of making a mature action movie, because that's what Cloverfield was. And Cloverfield was pretty, I think, fairly good monster movie, but to make Godzilla into that doesn't make sense, because Godzilla is kind of cheesy and kind of hokey and and it's fun because of that. It's like taking an old Jackie Chan movie and doing a gritty reboot of it. It just doesn't work, because that's not what
Jackie Chan always believed his movies were gritty in some way, and they never were.
They were. The old stuff that he shot in Hong Kong, where people are getting shot and killed all the time.
Oh yeah, but
they got a little gritty.
He was still smiling and jumping.
But yeah, they were still they were still action comedy. So
well, in nerd news, super important, because you and I both caught this and posted it on the Foundry Facebook page. The new Star Wars movie has a title.
Episode 8 has a title now. The Last Jedi.
What do you think?
Okay. The Force Awakens was a title. I was kind of ambivalent about it. The movie ended up being pretty good. I liked The Force Awakens. I mean, it's not a terrible title like The Phantom Menace.
I was okay with that.
Before I saw the movie, I was.
Okay, yeah.
In retrospect, it's kind of a dumb title. The Last Jedi, I'm okay. It doesn't really feel like it fits in with kind of some of the other names.
I agree.
For some reason, I can't really put my finger on it.
Here's what I've noticed, and I don't remember if I've ever heard someone talk about this specifically before, but Episode 4, A New Hope.
Yeah.
Episode 5... Empire Strikes Back. Right. Episode 6 was originally going to be Revenge of the Jedi.
They changed it to
Return of the Jedi.
Right. Which makes sense.
Yeah. So you go into the prequels. So if 4 was A New Hope, you have the Phantom Menace. So there's some...
Trying to get some synergy there?
Exactly. Attack of the Clones versus Empire Strikes Back.
Okay.
So you have like an action motivator in the title.
Yeah.
And then Revenge, Return.
Right. Which, that was kind of on the nose and made sense. Yeah.
So I felt like The Force Awakens, A New Hope, Phantom Menace, there's something there.
Sure.
I don't know, almost poetically. So I would expect that the second movie would be more like Evolution of the Furies. What was... I can't remember, sorry. But the third movie in this arc would have some sort of Rise of the...
Or Last of the...
Last of the Jedi.
Yeah, Last of the Jedi. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, Last of the Jedi feels like it would be Episode 9 time.
Episode 9.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I don't know. They're going in kind of different ways in this new series, which makes sense. It's out of Lucas's hands, so I'm not going to read too much into it that way.
And it's interesting to point that the word Jedi can be singular or plural.
It can.
So
that's true.
We can make predictions, and I don't want to. I want to be as blind going in as possible.
I mean, there's been speculation. The Last of the Jedi implies that either, if we go singular, that either Luke is the last or Rey is the last. If Rey is the last, that means Luke is going to die in this one. which wouldn't be surprising. It would be unfortunate, I think, given the fact we killed off Han, and due to unfortunate real-life circumstances, now we're going to lose Leia as a character.
Somehow going into Episode 9, because she did film everything for Episode 8.
Right, she'll be in the film, but
that doesn't mean that they may not have to find a way to change the script so that she wouldn't play as great a role as she was supposed to in Episode 9. Apparently she's supposed to play a very large role. So
maybe now Luke needs to play that. I don't know. It's interesting. I don't know if you look back at the original trilogy, and it's clear that Luke is the last Jedi. We're going to explore more of that story. That apparently he tried to refound the Order and failed somehow.
Maybe I shouldn't speculate.
I don't think there's any harm in speculating.
So, what was he wearing? Was he wearing white or gray robes?
Sort of brownish tan. Yeah.
Could he... Okay, so that still seems to be kind of proper Jedi material.
Yeah.
Could he have given up the way of the Jedi?
Do you think he's no longer a Jedi?
Maybe.
Possible. Yeah.
Maybe Rey.
And now Rey is going to become the new... But then last of implies that there's going to be an end there.
Could be the end of the Jedi line.
So it could be interesting that maybe Rey's going to found a new order.
But they're not the Jedi.
Of course, isn't the new order the bad guys?
Ooh. Gotta watch our word choices. Then again, who was Luke's apprentice?
He doesn't have one.
Apparently.
That we know of.
Could his apprentice have been young baby Solo? And he's the last of the Jedi.
Oh, you think a new character that we don't know about?
No. Who?
Oh. You mean
Kylo Ren?
That's
Ben
true,
Solo.
Yeah.
Could he be...
I think, that's definitely implied that he... Yeah, obviously he trained Kylo to a certain extent. Mm-hmm. Do you think Kylo becomes good?
I don't necessarily think so, although I think there's a very interesting push on his character that Han was able to do, and he thanks his father for giving him the chance to strike him down, to kill his father.
I took it as he thanked his father for helping him make his decision to be evil.
Could be.
It's kind of how I took that scene, like, thank you for pushing me finally, and giving me... Because the whole movie, he's conflicted about actually being a bad guy. I feel like that scene is he's saying thank you because you finally pushed me into being evil. By me killing you, I've crossed the Rubicon, I can't go back.
Yeah, I think that is the most likely scenario. But shades of foreshadowing well enough hidden. I wonder if in Episode 9 there won't be something more to the plan. There won't be something more to his digression into the dark side, which is something that Luke did to an extent.
Right.
Especially in his fight against...
Remember Return of the Jedi? Luke's wearing all black in Return of the Jedi.
I love that too, because he goes from lighter with a little bit of dark to dark with this sliver of gray.
A little bit of
and it's just showing he's willing to do more than before, and he gets enraged, and he uses that rage to become more powerful very quickly in just a single round of combat. And I wonder... I don't think so. I'm not betting money on it, but I wonder if this couldn't in some way be some sort of plan. Because... And I haven't read all of the extra materials that came out with the movie. I'm only going based purely on the movie. I wonder if there's more to it. But I think that...
Oh, yeah, I'm sure there's plenty more that... We have no idea. It could turn out that the new movie's about some other Jedi that we don't even know about yet. Who knows?
Yeah. She has to go find another mentor. Because Luke's like, no, I'm not really feeling it. Tell my sister I said hey. And then he kind of disappears like Yoda. He's like, I'm out. Peace.
Who knows? Maybe Leia will be the last Jedi. We don't know. But yeah, no, it's fun. It's fun to speculate. I think it's funny how little things like that can get you excited for a movie. I wasn't really thinking about it. Now they release this title that I don't even know if I like yet, but at least I'm thinking about the movie.
Yeah. And that's smart, but we don't have even a full year left to wait.
Yeah,
it's
coming
this
up
year.
Fast.
I'm so excited.
Yeah,
I think we'll have to do group.
Oh yeah, we'll go see
Midnight
it opening night
viewing.
if possible. Yeah, absolutely. All right, so we're a little bit behind on this, but we'll talk about it anyway because it's still, I think, pretty big news, and it's coming up quick, like real world wise. Nintendo Switch.
Yes,
they did a presentation. A couple weeks ago, probably 3 weeks ago. By the time this podcast is out,
maybe just about.
That they kind of info dumped everything about the new console. Pretty much, there's still a few questions in my mind, at least.
I think they dumped about everything that they had to give right now.
Yeah, I mean, the console's coming out fast, though. I mean, it's going to be here March 3rd, so right at the start of March. So whatever they have is basically finalized at this point. I'm sure it's being manufactured as we speak, wherever in China, wherever they're making it. And being rolled out and shipped out and all that good stuff. But lots of official information. We speculated a couple times in the past episodes about some things that rumors we were reading. Pretty much all those rumors turned out to be true, as they often are in the tech industry. But yeah, figured we'll talk a little bit about kind of what was said and our impressions and some final thoughts. Quote-unquote final thoughts about it before it actually gets released.
Yeah, I've got to say, I watched most of the presentation live.
Yeah, I watched it. I watched the whole thing live.
Forgot that it was happening, caught it,
yeah,
and stayed up later than I meant to be until it got down to the very end. And I have to say, overall, I was kind of disappointed. I think that there are other companies who do some sort of reveal that is much more exciting and a little smarter, but then again, most of this was done in Japan, where they have a different sensibility of what they're trying to express.
I mean, that was part of it. Was I saw some people complaining about kind of the way it was presented, but yeah, keep in mind this was a Japanese presentation in Japan that we were just translating. So
I know what you mean. I didn't get tired of that sound at all.
Yeah.
And then let's switch to this, and let's switch to this.
And then the translators had some issues at a couple times.
There were some amazing issues.
They kind of missed the script.
You paid that guy to translate, and he's doing this.
He did fine. He just was having trouble.
I think this sound is actually the clicking sound of the controllers.
Yeah, the Joy-Cons going into
the screen.
That's clever. Yeah, I like the idea of that.
Yeah, but I didn't hear a cronk sound of my nunchuck flying into the television screen.
No.
For the original Wii.
Well,
they didn't add that in
there.
They
didn't think that was going to happen originally.
Well,
they figured you'd be more careful.
Yes.
Like they expected you to.
My 15 pairs of wrist gauntlets to connect my already cumbersome nunchuck situation. Now I've got both wrists tethered to... It's basically a way to cuff yourself with your Nintendo.
Just get tied up.
Yeah. So, I have to say that there were some nice surprises. There some things that you kind of expected they would have to do.
I can't say I was surprised about anything, really.
They had a few games that were so beautiful, and I was so excited, and then they were Japan-only release.
There isn't... Well, okay.
There were two or three...
They're Japan-only releases, but that was one of the really nice things they announced is there's no region lock. Mm-hmm. So, while it might not be released here, you can get an import copy, and you can still play any game that's released anywhere in the world.
If I can read Japanese.
Most of the time these days you can get by without it, right?
I don't know. This is an RPG.
If it's an in-depth RPG,
this is an in-depth RPG.
Good luck on that.
Gorgeous. Couldn't get that.
I mean, Zelda Breath of the Wild looks great. Mm-hmm. A big open world, beautiful graphics. Looks like a bunch of fun boss battles. It looks great.
So the strength of that game is it comes out.
It's a launch title.
It's a launch title.
Yes. It's pretty much the only launch title.
It's basically the only launch title that's been really put out there. Do you know what else they're doing with that game?
What?
It comes out on the Wii U.
Oh, right. Yeah, it's been done for almost a year.
Yeah.
Apparently. It's been ready to go on the Wii U for almost a year. But they held it off for this console.
Here's my problem, and I'm not the only person who noticed this. Mm. You've got a launch title game that is kind of what people want
the
Switch for.
Right.
also available on the Wii U.
Yeah.
Which a lot of Nintendo fans already have.
About 3 million of them, yeah? Or 5 million? How many
if I'm going to go and buy... I mean, it wasn't the best-selling console.
No. It was their worst-selling console ever, other than the Virtual Boy.
There's a couple else that were bad, but yeah, it definitely undersold. Yet, am I going to go and buy a $300 Switch, which is a higher price? We were expecting $250.
I was expecting $300, to be honest with you. Yeah.
It's almost prohibitively high.
Yeah.
Plus,
after you pay that $300, you've got to buy the game, too.
You have to buy the game.
Or you could just buy it for a Wii U.
I could buy it for the Wii U I already own for $50.
Yeah, well,
or I spend $350 to play it.
That's why they're releasing it on the Wii U, so that you can.
Yes, but is going to cannibalize the sales that they want. They want to get rid of the Wii U, basically. Yeah. Now, there are some games that are still going to be coming out for the Wii U.
Yeah, but this is pretty much the last year of support for it. Yeah.
I think you're missing out on it because the price... Mm-hmm. And that the game isn't bundled. That game should have been bundled.
Yeah, that's a complaint. Is that there's no bundled game, which is
tell me it was $300
unusual for a Nintendo console. I think it's the first console they've ever released
with nothing bundled.
First home console. I don't know that the Game Boy. Any of the Game Boys had bundled titles that I can think of.
You're right.
But for their home consoles, this is the first time they've ever released a bundled game.
Mario or something.
Sure, Wii Sports at least, which is I still will boot up and play because it's great.
Here's the thing: Wii Sports, phenomenal way to showcase the nunchuck because it was brand new technology. Right. Wii U.
They're saying
you got a touchpad.
They're saying 1-2 Switch is going to be that game,
but it's not bundled.
Why am I going to pay $30, $40, how much ever 1-2 Switch is going to be for a tech demo? Like Wii Sports, would I have bought Wii Sports if it didn't come with a game? I don't know.
If they had done an enhanced version of Wii Sports, same dang games, but a slightly enhanced version with whatever their new Mii is going to look like, however that integrates, and had that bundled in, even as a free download, I think would have been worth it. So you could still get the functionality out of your new Joy-Cons.
Sure. Yeah.
Which I still don't know if I like the name of that yet. The
Joy-Con? It's a controller. Let's just call it a controller.
Yeah, a controller.
Why do we have to come up with a new name for it?
Then again, I had to get used to the word Wii.
It's true.
Forever.
I was listening to another podcast, and I forget which one it was. I apologize. But it was funny. They were talking about the fact that now Wii is an accepted term. We don't even remember when they announced it. We were like, the Wii? What kind of name is that? And here we are, 6 or 7 years later, and we're like, yeah, it's the Nintendo Wii.
The Wii U.
It's just a thing. We accept that. It's normalized now.
WII.
I think that's interesting. I don't know. I think my biggest complaint. I don't like the fact that there's not a packing game. But hey, I bought my PS4. There was no packing game. I bought my Xbox 360, there was no packing game. I bought my PS2, there was no packing game.
Every single one that you just mentioned has backward compatibility.
It's true.
So you could conceivably play something on it.
My PS1 didn't have a packing game.
It did not have backwards compatibility.
I'm not necessarily upset about that. It would be nice, but I bought a PSP shortly after launch. It didn't have a packing game. Mm-hmm. I'm okay with that. 3DS, I bought a 3DS. It didn't have a packing game. Mm-hmm. I'm not necessarily bad about that. My problem is the launch titles. Breath of the Wild is the only launch title that seems like it's worth anything, and like you said, it's coming out on another console. So, where else? So, Mario Kart 8 is coming out on in April, end of April. But again, Mario Kart 8 is on the Wii U, and it's been out for 3 years?
And they're not pushing the graphics in any crazy way. They are fixing the battle system, which is nice.
Yeah.
Which is going to bring some more people back into the fold.
Actually having battle areas.
And then they're going to add more carts. So you're thinking, what crazy... They're adding King Boo and all the other drivers...
darn time to bring King Boo
that you could have got on the 64 version or some of the other previous versions.
King Boo was in the GameCube version. That's right. GameCube Double Dash, I think. But yeah... Aside from that, the next big game they've really announced is Mario, Super Mario Odyssey. It's coming out in December?
It's a long time.
So part of the reason that's attracted me to getting the Switch and why I've said I want to get a Switch is because it's a Nintendo handheld. I'm interested as a handheld. because I have a 3DS, or excuse me, I have a DS. I missed out on the 3DS. I've missed out on a lot of great mobile games, the new Pokemon games, a lot of stuff they've done. That's why I want to switch, is because I want to get their new mobile platform. But they haven't announced anything I'm interested in for the rest of the year, other than Zelda.
Here is the thing that worried me. You're absolutely right. This integration of home console and on the go, and I thought it was great. The Wii U, you could go to another room in the house as long as it's too far away and still play on that screen.
Yeah.
And I've actually gotten use out of that as a secondary TV screen, or play in a room where someone else is wanting to watch something on television.
Yeah, I think that's great. Yeah.
In this instance, the mobile part of it is limited by battery life, which is at
they said minimum 2.5 hours.
2.5 hours. Up to 6 hours, depending on what you're doing.
Well, yeah.
Probably closer to 4 at most.
I would guess 3 to 4 at most, yeah.
So you've got your portability is limited.
Yeah.
And you think, okay, they're just going to put everything into one system. No, they are actually still producing games for the 3DS.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the 3DS sold gobs and gobs. It's hard for them to drop support for that.
I appreciate that, but where are you putting your effort? So the thing is, I'm still really excited about this, and if I can save up the money, I would really like to have one.
Yeah.
But there is nothing that is going to inspire me to buy it right now.
Yeah.
It's probably going to be closer to Christmas time when the price drops $20-$30.
And maybe some other games are on the horizon.
Or they have a bundled version that comes out.
Yeah, that comes with the game. Yeah, I mean, I would love to get one at launch just because I haven't gotten a console at launch since the PS2, I guess, probably a long time ago. So I'm excited from that perspective to maybe get one. I missed out on the pre-order glut that came out a couple weeks ago, so I don't have one pre-ordered. If I don't get one in March, it doesn't really matter because there's nothing for me to play,
right? Other
than Zelda. I can, so if I don't get one, I won't be upset. I might try and pick one up early just to have one, but yeah, it's pretty much what I expected.
I think overall it went from a thing that was a must-have to I'd like to have.
Yeah.
But if I don't, I'm okay.
It's sort of between the Wii and the Wii U, where the Wii I was like, I've got to have one of these.
Gotta have one.
And I got one as soon as I could. It took like 3 or 4 months, but I got one.
Yeah.
The Wii U, I'm like, I don't need that.
And then you could play Mario Flippin' Galaxy.
Yeah.
Which I thought was revolutionary. And it took a lot of what Mario 64 did well, and took some of the ideas that they couldn't fit into the game at the time due to timing and hardware constraints. Yeah. Boom.
I will say Mario Odyssey looks equally great. It looks awesome.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of fun stuff that's going to happen.
He's got a magical hat now.
But it's not gonna, he has a magical hat that talks. So he's Link now. It's not gonna come out till December though. So why do I need to get one in March?
I don't need to.
Yeah.
If I have the money, I will. But until then,
of course, they're saying they're gonna make 2 million of them. They're gonna be 2 million available worldwide at launch. That's probably not gonna be enough.
I'm sure there'll be a few more million come December.
Yes, exactly. There'll be more available, and there'll be more games, and probably be a little bit cheaper. Plus, why the hell is Skyrim coming out? Skyrim is a 6-year-old game at this point.
But
6 years old!
Finally, I'll be able to play it.
You haven't played Skyrim yet?
Not a single second of it.
It's good. It was good 6 years ago.
So we went to a comic book shop here today.
Yeah, we did. Like a retro, kind of hipstery comic book, video game, movie, all kinds of stuff.
And I want to get more into detail of that location, a few others in another podcast.
Yes.
But I got some real flashbacks while in there. Because, first of all, there are these old pieces of nostalgia that make me think of my childhood. There was a Castle Grayskull that I wanted so badly. And then all the comic books everywhere. And then there's always... It's kind of the same setup. It's the glass case, sometimes near the door, sometimes near the back. It's kind of long, intimidating, with really nice things behind it. And then the central geek, nerd, maybe the owner, is standing behind there.
Yeah.
And it's most stores don't look like this. It's just kind of the nerd shop.
I've been to ones in Atlanta, Savannah, some other places that are all the same way. They always have the glass case with the expensive stuff, with the one guy kind of lording over it.
And it's not bad. It's just a normal shop setup, but it just kind of gave me flashbacks to other comic book shops I've been to.
Yeah.
And there's sort of a theme that I've noticed from time to time, especially in businesses that have been there for a while, and that's that these owners get really rude.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Right.
They become very elitist, even.
Yeah.
That this is my shop, and if you can't tell me all of the doctors in order by from 1 to 12, with their character's name and in alphabetical order, and the years and how many seasons they played, then get out of my shop.
Yeah.
How dare you? Yeah. And I've seen this happen. It's almost as if power corrupts, but absolute power corrupts absolutely. And that when you are the top dog in your nerd group, that sometimes these people get really mean to the lesser, maybe not necessarily younger, but I come in with a pretty high knowledge of X-Men and Marvel comics.
Yeah.
A lot less about DC.
Yeah.
And if I get, I don't know, Moon Knight and the Sentry mixed up, Sentry's Marvel.
Yeah.
I guess Moon Knight's Marvel too, isn't he? But yeah, if I get the characters mixed up, then that doesn't say anything negative about me. But have you ever felt that before, where someone is kind of they're the elitist nerd?
Yeah, I think, and we've touched on this topic in episodes past, and I'm sure we'll mention it more in the future. I think it's part of nerds and nerd culture, going back to like when we were kids in middle school, and we liked comic books, and that wasn't cool, and we got picked on, and there's a barrier. You build this barrier around your hobby to where, and you see it these days with like there's a big backlash. I don't know if it's as big as it was a few years ago against like fake nerd girls. This is a thing that's been big, where like a girl will post a picture of, and it's always like the thick rim black glasses, because hipsters, whatever. But she's like, "Oh, I love Super Mario Brothers," and a bunch of neckbeards will be like, "Oh, you don't even know the name of Mario's brother, do you?" There's this like barrier of like, you're not a real nerd, you don't get to be part of my hobby. I think it goes back to that. I find it more common with older nerds like you and I, who grew up when it wasn't cool to be nerdy. I found it more accepting these days. This is one of the fun things about going to conventions, especially like NC Comic, smaller conventions where there's a lot of young people. I think that they're more welcoming, more open about these kinds of things, whereas older nerds tend to be, "Oh, you like Star Trek, not Star Wars? You're a nerd. You're a loser. You're a jerk." Or like you said, "You don't know the name of my favorite comic book character, then you're not a real nerd."
There is something to be said about acceptance, because I imagine when you, in the past, and it still is happening today, when you don't feel like you fit in, and you create this little world for yourself.
Yeah.
The moment you find someone else who accepts you for you in your world, you just want to invite them in.
Yeah.
You want to indoctrinate them. You want to share that with them. And so if it's comic books, then, oh my gosh, this person loves comic books too. Let's talk about comic books for hours and hours, and let's go to the comic book shop together, or even Dungeons & Dragons. I think of that one. Yeah, come and join me, and you have some friends who might want to play too. Okay. And you build this small internal community.
Yeah.
But at what point do you stop and you decide, I'm going to protect my community, and I'm not going to let you in unless you pass my tests. Yeah. And now you are ostracizing people the way you yourself were ostracized a long time ago.
Yeah, like I said, I think it's a defensive mechanism that goes back to, when you felt like there's, these jocks are trying to pretend they like comic books so they can get closer to hurt me. Mm-hmm. I think there's a defensiveness there. There's also and it's something we've talked about, I think, off air more than on air, but like a self-worth that a lot of nerdy, geeky kind of people put into their hobby, to where if you attack it or you don't understand it, you're attacking me personally. Mm-hmm. And so they take offense at like, oh, you walk in, you got the name of this character wrong. You obviously don't understand me. You don't like me. Get out. I think that's part of it too. It's something about our personalities. We're kind of obsessive. We're kind of controlling. I think a lot of times nerdy people tend to be that way.
That might be a way to look at it too. That the people, their personality traits are going to continue over time, and maybe that controlling thing too. Because I saw this happen particularly at a series of comic book shops where the one in town that was older, the guy running it was becoming kind of corrupt. He was not nice to people. Yeah. He would run them off. He would cancel their subscriptions through his shop. Like, now you're losing money. And next thing you know, he's having to close up. Yeah. But across the street, this brand new place, the guy who owned it was really nice. Yeah. Fast forward 5 years, you would go in and ask to speak to him, and he was really busy. He didn't want to spend time with you. Yeah. He started running off employees, and the prices changed, and he wouldn't... There were certain comic books that he wouldn't even order for you. Yeah. Like, it's not that he wasn't ordering it because he knew he couldn't sell it. He wouldn't even order it for you, even though you knew you were already going to come in and pay for it. Yeah. And then he had to... Fortunately, he was successful enough to open up a second location, but eventually, location 1 closed down, and only location 2, who's run by somebody else, was still open. And so it just kind of kept moving on and on.
That reminds me of a long time ago in my deep, dark past where I was working at a particular store, and I'll try not to go into it because I don't want to upset anybody in my past, but I worked at I worked at a business where we were in a very, 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 very specialized field, and we were the only people servicing that field in the region, not just our city, in the region. So it was kind of like you said, absolute power corrupts. We were the only choice, and so I saw the owners dealing with people who they were not giving good guest service because it was, well, it's my way or the highway. You don't have another choice. You're going to do it the way I want to. And I think that can be part of it too. In something like a comic book shop, especially in a small town, there's usually only the one. You don't have another choice if you're a geek. This is the geek hangout place. This is the geek shop in town. You're going to come here to play Yu-Gi-Oh! You're going to come here to get your Batman comic, or else you're not going to get it. So... because I have that power over you, I get to lord it over you. I get to be a jerk, and I get to make you pay homage to me as the king nerd. I think that's part of it as well. Like I said, what I found, and I found it very refreshing to be around these younger fans at conventions who are accepting. I'm thinking of My Little Pony, to be very specific about a certain fandom. And bronies, a group of younger boys, I'm going to say, because they're not men, boys, whatever, who like that show, who like that thing. For me, I see that, I'm like, it makes me, I want to put up a barrier to that. Because as a older, like, nerd patriarch, I'm like, no, that's not acceptable. That's not a good nerd thing to like. That's not Space Invaders. Why, and then I look and see younger fans who are embracing that. They're not judging. I guess maybe it's part of just getting old and being an old nerd is that you judge and you have certain structures that are in your mind that exist. And if as new generations come and change those paradigms, it makes you feel a little uncomfortable sometimes.
So the lesson here is that if you're feeling inflexible, maybe it's your fault.
Yeah, sometimes.
Maybe you need to check yourself.
Yeah.
And
I'm not going to say check your privilege, but check your privilege.
Check your... Well, just check your attitude.
Check your attitude and, remember that you were young once. I remember being a young nerd in middle and high school and being the most annoying... just a quick aside. I remember talking with a friend in early high school about... he got the source book for Vampire, the Masquerade. So the original Vampire game. And we were talking about maybe playing a game. We never did, unfortunately. Or maybe fortunately. I don't know. But I was talking about building a character. And I was like, ooh, he's going to be like a hunter. And he's got like this like trench coat and like a samurai sword. And I'm, looking back, I'm like, oh my God, what was wrong with me? That is the dumbest cliched crap. But when I was a kid, I was super interested. I was intense. I was like, yeah, this is going to be so cool. So, when a kid walks into your comic book shop and says, oh, I'm really interested in this Batman guy. I just saw this new movie and he's fighting Superman. You can't be mad at that kid. You mean you haven't read George Miller's Batman? Get out of my shop. We have to all remember we were young. We were nerds once. We were enthusiastic about stuff. And things change, but you can't let age or time or your depth of knowledge harden yourself against a passion, against a fandom.
Well said, Ed. And just because you're intelligent doesn't mean that you're self-aware.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So be excellent to each other.
Be excellent to each other, guys.
Party on, dudes. In this episode's table topics, I wanted to talk a little bit about the number 13, because this is episode 13.
It is, yeah.
As I said, we had Friday the 13th not too long ago, and superstition and using mojo and lucky dice is a big thing.
It exists.
In tabletop games and in gambling, even. Do you have any lucky dice?
I used to. I lost my dice bag. I'm still trying to find it. My best set of dice, I cannot find. My best D20, specifically. I've got, at this point, 4 or 5 sets. Mostly Chessex, some other stuff as well. But I have one set, and at this point, it's kind of lost to time is where I got them. I don't remember if I was given them by you or one of our other friends, or if I bought them. But my set of fire Chessex dice, they're orange and yellow speckled. Beautiful.
I remember giving you one set when we were playing a previous game. I don't remember if it was
I don't remember if it was the fire set or not. But the point is, my fire D20, and all of the fire dice, but the fire D20 especially, has always rolled well for me. It really always has.
Yeah.
That's my lucky dice. I've lost it. And I can't find it. And last time I played in your game, actually, I couldn't find my dice, and I had to use a set of dice that someone else bought for somebody else. They weren't my dice.
It didn't feel right.
And it didn't feel right, and I rolled bad, and it just was a bad night, and that's why I quit your game.
Ow!
No, I'm just kidding.
It finally comes to light. And you, I don't remember if we told you completely this anecdote, but our friend Bradford, his dice were trying to kill him. There's more to the story that there is a cigar box that his now fiance was her grandfather's, and that he had it for a long time. There's some sort of story about that, and they earnestly believe that there's some sliver of bad juju that's in that
the box itself.
That it may have affected his die. That it was D20.
Yep.
And that he kept rolling critical fails and couldn't roll above a 10. I mean, it was just obscene mathematics that had to go into how bad he was rolling. And so we forbade him to use it. And as soon as someone gifted him a brand new D20, a 20-sided die, it started getting better. And better and better. And then I think he may have even got like a critical success, critical hit at one point, just to kind of prove. And then we just said, you can never use that one dice again. That one die. Because it will kill you or one of us. And that's not okay.
Yep. You know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, I do have another set of dice that the D20 out of it always rolls bad for me. And now that I think about it, it is the set that you gave me.
That is true.
It's like the dark kind of steely colored set. It's a beautiful set of dice. I love the way they look. And I've used it many, many times thinking, tonight's the night it's going to roll good. And
you sure it wasn't just because of your cleric?
No.
He He was unlucky.
Only on initiatives.
That's true. All right, I'll take that back. Only on initiatives.
Jovar Speed.
Jovar Speed
always last on initiatives. But no, yeah. I'm not a superstitious person, but it's true. My fire dice roll well, some other dice roll badly. It's a thing that exists.
Do you think there's a way to change that?
I always set my dice so that 20 is up, so that the weight settles. Because, they are a fluid. They're not a solid. They seem like it. They're a fluid. They flow.
Don't they feel that way?
I've seen some other folks do rituals. You gave me a really nice little dice tower thing that I'll sometimes put a D20 on the night before a game and let it absorb the power of the universe. Yeah. I haven't seen that work yet, but we're all going to try.
For me, it's instead of it being a way to get the energy, it's more of a pedestal of reward. Like if you did well, it's like
honor.
All right,
so honor.
Maybe the other dice will see that and go, I'd like to be up there on that pedestal one day. I'll start rolling better.
Extra motivation.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. I'm a pretty logical person, and I look at and I go. I've been to Vegas before, and I love gambling. I love playing blackjack and poker and looking at the odds, and so I can look at the idea of a D20 and say it's unlucky. No, you can say, I rolled a 1 last time, so surely I'm due for a 20. It's a gambler's fallacy. Every time you roll a D20, you have an equal chance of hitting any of those 20 numbers. Every single time you roll, nothing about the previous rolls affects that in any way.
But don't you think there's a way that you can enhance your rolling? Not necessarily to change probability, but to make sure that randomness occurs properly.
You roll it behind a screen so nobody else can see and you lie about the number.
Yeah, I have definitely played with people and had people in my games where every now and again I'm like, we need to start open rolling.
A little curious things. About that, yeah.
A little curious about how you roll nothing lower than 18 ever.
I've never ever knowingly fudged a roll, but I've been in situations where I felt like maybe some rolls are being fudged.
I would forgive game masters and dungeon masters for fudging a roll.
True.
The game players, never, no, not never. Yeah. Sometimes you're going to have a bad streak.
Yeah, you've got to trust the GM to where you're rolling real bad, and they're not going to necessarily kill your character unless you deserve it.
There's something to be said about having a luck-mindedness. Not that you believe that luck's really happening, but if you're so worried about the fate of the dice,
right,
and not worry about the luck of your character, that's a role-playing choice. You can role-play the crap out of some bad rolls.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the game master will reward you. It's like, okay, you did terribly. I'm going to take it easy on you because you're just getting the crap kicked out of you. But who knows, maybe in your failure, you uncover the true secret of the dungeon. Or if you're so worried about, I've got to get a 19, maybe you're trying the wrong thing. Maybe you need a different tactic. So I think there's something to be said about having a mindedness where you try to schedule luck.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if you're more worried about luck, and not trust that luck is going to take care of you, if you trust luck's going to take care of you, you can focus on playing the game. If you're worried more about, I've got to get a 19, I've got to roll my 1, this dice is trying to kill me, I'm going to go throw it in the microwave to show all the other dice what a jerk it is, then you're probably going to continue to make bad decisions because you think it's just the dice that's taking care of you.
I've been in situations where, my character, I've had a character moment where I've tried to do something with my character that partially depends on rolling well, and I've rolled badly. And so, my character would get really mad, and I'm like, all right, this is a situation where my character is extra mad, and he's going to hit this next hit, and he's going to get a crit, and then I roll a 1, and it's like, that ruins my whole character moment, because he fell on his face into some poop. So, yeah.
But how he rolls out of that poop
is
what defines
and inspiring.
What inspires everyone else to victory.
That happened one time, I think.
So the 2017 Royal Rumble match is just concluded.
Yeah, we just watched it. We just got done with the pay-per-view.
Yeah, we cleared out the apartment and we got the place to ourselves. We wanted to have a conversation a little bit about the entire event, the entire pay-per-view, particularly the Royal Rumble match, which was sort of what it was all about. Sure. The build-up. This is the beginning of the road to WrestleMania, although in reality the most important things are Royal Rumble and WrestleMania.
Yeah.
However, there are usually one or two pay-per-views in the middle. They're going to have an elimination chamber match, and usually one called Roadblock or something like that that's in the middle on the way there, or Fastlane. Sorry, Fastlane might be the next one before WrestleMania.
It's coming fast.
There were some pre-shows, the kickoff shows.
I missed
that you
the pre-show.
missed.
Of course, I was delayed at work, and I wasn't able to get over here in time to see all the pre-show because they did an early start this year.
Well, honestly, there wasn't that much that you missed. Yeah, it was an early show. They started at 5 o'clock.
Now, what do you think about that?
It's not unusual for them to do a big kickoff show before WrestleMania because it's the biggest thing of the year.
Yeah,
it's
they run that like the Super Bowl all day kind of thing.
Yeah, Super Bowl coverage goes for a full week. This is the same kind of thing. And they do a lot of backstory for WrestleMania. Yeah. Here, I don't think there was that much to do, but they talked for 45 minutes. Then they had a sort of 3-on-3 tag match, a women's tag match with Becky Lynch, Nikki Bella, and Naomi against Alexa Bliss, Mickie James, and Natalya. And what's weird is Natalya is a terrible heel. She's a fan favorite, but they like that she's doing something else. She has no reason to pair up with Alexa Bliss and Mickie James.
Yeah.
Mickie James was a former WWE diva, and she only just returned from TNA, which was kind of a big surprise, and they played that up well. So they just stuck Natalya on, and same thing with Becky Lynch. They just added Nikki Bella and Naomi because they're both faces right now. They're both good guys, and had a tag match, and it was... Yeah, I love all those women. They do a great job, but nothing exciting there. Then they did the Tag Team Championship, the Raw Tag Team Championship, with Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson against Cesaro and Sheamus, which they've been doing a lot of fun things with Cesaro and Sheamus, but they keep having them butt heads. I don't know why. And
well, they did that. I mean, we'll get to it, but they did that even in the Royal Rumble itself.
Well, and that's part of the fallout here. I think that their miscommunications, they may split them back up for reasons I don't know. I think them as a tag are some of the best in-ring action you can see for guys that size and to be able to do a tag team. But they lost to Gallows and Anderson, who I think need it.
What do you think about a title changing hands on a pre-show? I mean, even if it's just the Raw tag team, but still...
Honestly, a pre-show is really just more show that they couldn't fit in the main event as the pay-per-view. Because they have a limited amount of space.
Yeah.
They did a women's title and 2 men's titles and the Cruiserweight title before they got to the Royal Rumble. Right. So it was already a packed
True.
show.
I mean, a lot of belts were involved, but...
And they are at least going back to something that they used to do more often in the past, where the titles will change hand more frequently on pay-per-views.
Yeah.
A little bit less on free TV. They changed that for a few years to build ratings, but they were changing hands too much. Right. So putting it back on pay-per-view gave it bigger stakes. Yeah. That doesn't mean you still can't win it in any given Sunday, or in WWE's case, any given Monday or Tuesday.
Right.
So I don't mind it too much, but I think that it sort of hid a title change on a pre-show is the only thing. It doesn't get as much coverage. Yeah,
and like I said, it's in the end, it's just a tag championship, so it's not the biggest thing ever. But
yeah, it's not as if Cesaro and Sheamus were bringing an additional level of prestige. They're amazing. When they wear a title, you believe it. Tag team, you felt like they could drop it and move on and still do great things. Right. Nia Jax, who is a rather new, up-and-coming, very large, strong woman from NXT against Sasha Banks, and they've been playing this angle that Sasha Banks was injured and that Nia made it worse, and so Nia just crushed her.
Was it with squash?
No, I mean, it was a decent match. I could barely keep interest in it. Also, people were coming over about that time. It was just on in the background, and Sasha Banks is the boss. She should be headlining things, and she's this is a mid-card match for her at best. And
right.
I never like it when you have the hero be injured and just weak, where they can't fend for themselves. If they're injured, let them still go down swinging. Mm-hmm. Instead, she's cowering in the corner, grabbing her knee like she's hurt so bad. And we know she's not. Yeah. So I hope to see bigger things from them in the future. No. But that was kind of just a quick end to the kickoff matches. But the first match of the big show.
Yeah, so getting on to... And I stepped in about, I guess, halfway through this match. Maybe not too long after the start, I guess. Because I saw a good chunk of it. But yeah, Charlotte versus Bayley.
And Bayley is still, I think, finding her way in the WWE. She's a fan favorite.
Yeah.
She really responds, or rather, she's accepted by a lot of the girls in the audience. They need to have someone who's fun they can connect with, that isn't all about sex or about being crazy.
Yeah, she's not a diva. She's just fun.
She's just herself.
She's like... Yes, she's like a New Day sort of like, you can just enjoy that and get along with that, and color and fun.
Color and fun, and she's sporty, and she's still aggressive in the ring, but she's not trying to be a mean person.
Yeah.
Once the match is over, yay. She's the one who will happily shake your hand and say, good game, and I think she's a good role model right now. But the WWE doesn't know what to make with her because they're still used to plugging in these Attitude Era women who can kind of be sexy or play the crazy bitch role.
Yeah.
And then they put her up against the queen of the WWE right now. I think this was her 16th pay-per-view in a row. It's like 15th, 16th, or 17th in a row where she's won. She has the best pay-per-view record.
Yeah, and I know right after the finish, I turned to you and I asked you this question: are you getting kind of tired of Charlotte? I mean, she wins every time I see her on pay-per-view. She's winning, and she's great, but it's kind of getting old. Like,
it is.
I'd like to see her lose once in a while to make the wins more meaningful.
That's the point. If she loses. And you give it to Bayley or somebody else at WrestleMania, that makes it even bigger. You have dethroned the queen. Now, what the WWE likes to hang, everybody gets some stat that is uniquely theirs.
Right.
Like the Undertaker streak.
Right.
Or Ric Flair. We'll talk more about that.
Yes, his streak.
The most championships, and let's see, the longest reigning women's champion was Nikki Bella. The longest reigning tag team champions were the New Day. They like to give people these honorifics, even if they lose it the very next day. I think giving her some sort of pay-per-view streak gives her some credibility, even though she doesn't have the number of wins as some people, or the length of the championship as some people. So I'm okay with that.
I guess I can see that. You know, the women's division is quote-unquote new at this point because it's been rebranded and because it's kind of they've refocused on it and they've really changed the presentation and the style a lot, which is wonderful. I think I almost these days like the women's matches more than I like a lot of the men's matches. The problem I'm seeing is just that it's still so shallow. I mean, for a while there it was Charlotte versus Sasha Banks, like every single time over, and it's like, well, okay. And I get what you're saying. Yeah, you kind of, especially when you a quote unquote new division, you need to establish some legendary figures, some monsters in that division, so that you have something. If it's everybody just changing the belt between 7 or 8 different people, it's kind of makes all of them kind of weak in a way.
And if you win for 2 months, 3 months, and then someone else has it for 2 months, 3 months, you can tell they're just rotating hands.
Right.
And
trying
at
to
no
figure
point
out who's going to be the future.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And Charlotte is the future.
Yeah.
She is genetically bred for this.
Yeah.
She's proven her talent and her guts and her strength in the ring.
She has, yeah.
So, more power to her. I was hot and cold with her. Right now I'm very strong on her as a person who can carry the women's division. Yeah. Something that the Bella twins had to do between the two of them in an era that was still about butts and boobs.
Right, yeah. Yeah, that's the great thing about Charlotte is she does come from royalty, but even if she didn't, she is a prototype for a future star. She could do it all on her own, and I appreciate that a lot.
Speaking of people with family ties, we've got Roman Reigns.
Yes.
Against Kevin Owens for the Universal Championship.
I think actually I enjoyed this match a lot.
With the stipulation
that
Chris Jericho was suspended in a shark cage high above the ring.
Which was hilarious and worked well.
And they've played this off for a couple of weeks with the lead-up shows, with the shark cage sitting there, and then having it hang above the ring, and then Jericho getting caught in it, and at one point Kevin Owens is caught in it, Jericho's hanging from it as it's rising in the air, and that buddy romance has just been really entertaining for weeks now.
Yep.
And now it's the culmination. It's going to go down. And it was a pretty brutal...
It was.
23 minutes.
It went on for a while. And yeah, the two, both Owens and Reigns, I mean, they're good workers and they can take a lot. And they gave a lot to each other. It was just constantly just, oh my God, is this it? Is this it? Is this it? Just over and over. It was a really good match.
I think it was good that it kept the energy. It didn't feel as exhaustive as another match we'll talk about. It felt like they were both beating each other up.
Yeah.
Looking for opportunities to capitalize on the other person's weaknesses, or they made the wrong move the wrong time.
Yeah.
I don't understand truly what the stipulation of the cage above
had
any bearing until, at the last second, Chris throws down that pair of brass knuckles down to Kevin Owens.
They didn't do as much with that as I.
He could have just been throwing metal pipes
the whole time. Like I heard somebody, and I'm forgetting who it was I saw today. I think it may have been What Culture. He does tons of wrestling stuff, but a prediction where they were talking about they expected the match to end with Jericho dropping his belt down to Owens, who would use it to defeat Roman Reigns. I was like, oh yeah, I can totally see that and that. And so after he dropped the brass knuckles, I was like, oh yeah, he's going to start dropping some more stuff. He's going to drop his belt through. It's going to be really cool. And that didn't happen. He dropped the brass knuckles, and that was it.
I had a feeling they would do the thing that is very hokey, and they haven't done that kind of thing in a long time, where they fake some sort of technical glitch.
Yeah.
Like they throw a guy against a screen, all of a sudden it flashes or something. Or they fall down something by the stage and pyro goes off like they're electrocuted. Okay, stop doing that. We don't buy it for a second.
Yeah.
But that they would rumble in the back and hit some sort of gear that caused the cage to come down.
To drop down.
And still be above the ring where it would swing. And they could play around with that like getting hit by the cage or swinging into the next person, something like that.
Yeah.
I love when they add obstacles to use to fight with.
There were some good spots in this match. I mean, it was a no DQ match, so they were bringing out all kinds of weapons. I mean, it was like a TLC match. It was great. One of the better table shots I've seen in a long time, when he put Roman through directly on top of the leg of the table and bent the leg over on itself and like drilled a hole in the ground.
Owens got on the top turnbuckle, did some sort of frog splash looking maneuver on Roman's face.
Yeah, it was brutal.
It was brutal, but it was very well executed. Every spot they did worked.
Except for the Tower of Chairs.
Tower of Chairs was a big build up to something you could see coming, because there's no way they could pile drive someone through that.
Yeah, you were like, they're not going to powerbomb somebody through that, but it could have been executed way better. Like his Superman punch looked really weak, and he just sort of just kind of fell back onto part of it.
Kevin's done that before. I can't remember what match, but there was a table thing that he had rigged up, and someone hit him, and it was as if he was unconscious, and he just fell flat as a board into it, and it was amazing. Just that commitment. Here, it felt as if he needed to double check the spot before he jumped into it.
Yeah, it didn't feel right.
There was a stagger for a moment before he went into it. It still looked great, and it was a huge stunt. So I appreciate him for that. But, of course, Roman Reigns doesn't need that title right now.
Well, let's go to the elephant in the room on that match, literally. It ended in interference. With interference. I mean, it was a no DQ match, but Braun Strowman came out.
I've been trying to keep up with both shows. It's 5 hours of my week.
Yeah, it's
fast forwarding through commercials. Some of the mid cards I forward through like the first 5 minutes because I know nothing's going to happen there. And Braun Strowman's been wreaking havoc.
He wreaked havoc tonight in a couple of different ways. We'll get to the Royal Rumble later.
He's thrown some cruiserweights so far out of the ring like a rag doll. It was frightening what he did to some people.
Yeah.
How he could still manhandle some of the bigger wrestlers.
Yeah.
He's not as big as Big Show in height and overall girth,
man.
but he is stronger than Big Show,
yeah.
and he can get away with stuff that other big guys can't with his speed.
Yeah, he's more athletic than Big Show ever was, even in his prime. I think
They're showing that he's a monster, and they're showing that he's mean, but at the moment he's an idiot, and they haven't shown him be calculating at all. You want him to be that shark under the water, and as soon as he lurks and seizes you, you're dead. But he's coming out and just messing with matches, and he's been doing it for weeks because he's angry, and one person messes with him a little bit, even by accident. Don't they go back to their room or the bus and rewatch the match and be like, oh, he accidentally kicked me in the face. It wasn't his fault. Bygones be bygones. Let's still be friends. No, it is grudge match to death every time.
You just made me remember something from this match right at the very, very, very beginning. When you said idiot, there was a spot, and I'm trying to remember exactly what it was. Reigns and Owens are outside the ring at the announcer tables, and Owens picks up the little top to the announcer table and kind of just throws it at Roman, and Roman catches it and then just hits Owens with it and goes, "You idiot!" You could hear really, and I was like, "Wow, I really liked Roman Reigns in this match. I started to really, really like him." And then that all got ruined later, but it was a fun moment. This was a good match right up until the end.
Yeah, Roman Reigns has been a significantly strong worker, and I absolutely detest how the audience hasn't given him a second chance since the True Authority tried to push him down our throats. They finally learned their lesson, and they stopped, and they gave Roman an edge, and they let him really kick ass and get his own ass kicked. That's what we saw.
That was the Roman tonight in this first match that I really liked. He like you said, he had an edge. He was not a heel, but he wasn't nice. He had that meanness to him, and I like that a lot.
I like that aggressive, wounded animal, I'm going to lash out at you streak that he can do so well. And when he lands that Superman, and to say the Superman punches tonight were not his best. I have seen him lay that in, whether it's his fist, his forearm, or his elbow, but he catches you in such a way.
Height and up,
I mean, his physique doing it is nice, but just catching the people at the right place, whether they're anticipating it or not taking it correctly, it didn't look nearly as good.
Yeah.
None of his Superman punches this time looked like it should have been an automatic knockout, which I had seen for 5 weeks now from him. That was one of the most fun matches.
Yeah.
But part of it's just because how in love with Jericho I am right now.
Yeah, no. Chris Jericho is maybe my favorite thing in the WWE right now. I say that mostly because Seth Rollins wasn't there tonight.
This is true.
And so Jericho's a great stand-in for me for Seth Rollins because he's just so lovable.
I don't know if there's anything there to say about Neville and Rich Swann.
It was a good match. They're both good athletes.
Amazing guys.
And they had some nice moves. Back and forth. It was fun. But it didn't stand out. It felt like a match you would see on Raw, on free TV.
Rich Swann seemed like he got more angry than I'd seen before because he's one of those faces that smiles. And I always get a little nervous when you have the black guy dancing. WWE does that kind of crap a lot.
Yes, yeah.
But I think this is kind of...
New Day always makes me nervous about that kind of thing.
Yeah, but New Day, they are in complete creative control now.
They took control of that and made it just great.
Yeah, and it was their idea to do the preacher sort of thing at the beginning. But Rich showed this nastiness about him, which I liked. It's like, okay, show us that you can get mad. You're not just smiling and breakdancing, dude. Yeah. And he did very well, but then Adrian Neville, just Neville now, coming back as a heel from some time away, he looks vicious. He looks like a goblin.
He does. He looks a little goblin.
He does. So half of our party tonight said he looked like a hobbit.
He's a goblin.
You and I were on the side of goblin.
No, I think that's part of my problem with this match is Neville looks the part, and he did an okay job of being that kind of vicious kind of. But there wasn't that really strong, like, good versus bad. There was, neither of them is, like, that strong of a personality, I thought, or at least during the match they weren't.
True.
To take it, because the work was great, but there wasn't that extra level that some of these other matches tonight had.
In the end, Neville got the championship. He's been claiming to be the king of the Cruiserweight division, which I don't understand how he can claim to be that when he wasn't holding the title, and he had been gone for a while, and the entire Cruiserweight division grew to exist in the WWE as it is today while he's been gone. So that's bad writing on the part of the WWE.
Yeah, and nothing wrong with a heel claiming they're bigger than they are. I mean, it makes him a bad guy.
That's true. Can't blame that.
But he's got the strap now, so.
Let's talk about another stripe. Going to John Cena versus AJ Styles.
You know what? I think I like this match more than anybody else tonight.
I agree. I thought it was an absolute slobber knocker of two men who were probably not going to walk right tomorrow.
Yeah, no, you know what it felt like? It felt like a WrestleMania match.
Yes.
It felt like the match before the main event at WrestleMania or something. It was close to even feeling like it could have headlined a WrestleMania. The build-up was nice. The payoff was really good.
There were probably 2 pinfall attempts for each man that could have been left out. Just a little bit.
Yeah, I know a lot of folks we were watching it with were feeling like it was going on too long. I didn't, actually. I thought it was just the right amount of length, because you had that long set of submissions back and forth, and it was like finisher back and forth, pinfall. Mm-hmm. It was, I liked it. It felt, you said after the conclusion of the match that Cena earned it. And you're right, it felt like he earned that.
This guy, I feel like he was given a lot of opportunities handed to him because he happened to be the right guy at the right time when the business needed him. Yeah. And he protected himself from injury just because of the machine that he is for so long. And he does sort of believe his own mantra. He believes in himself, maybe more than he should. Granted, he's a millionaire and he hosts the ESPYs and won a Nickelodeon Kids' Choice Award or something. He's living the dream. He's
on SNL.
He's with Nikki Bella. He's doing all right for himself. So maybe he's got it all.
Yeah. It's hard to buy into that. Oh, he's the underdog kind of thing. No. He's clearly not. But
he's just massive. But then AJ Styles is one of the best in-ring performers that has ever been, in my opinion. Yeah. And it's believable that he could go toe-to-toe with someone as big as John Cena and hold up. And he proved it in that match.
The only thing I'll say is I know AJ is like, this match didn't, it felt like a WWE match. It felt very brawling and plotting, which I don't feel like. I want to see AJ be more athletic and more mobile, and Cena's probably not the right person for him to do that with.
True.
I'm not saying that it was a bad match. That felt a little strange. It didn't feel like AJ was the best choice for that, but he did a great job with it.
John has added some moves to his repertoire in the last 2 years alone to have that agility. The one where he kind of tucks underneath them and flips them onto their own back.
Flip over,
So he's added some things like that because he's been a ground and pound kind of person. Yeah. AJ has to meet him at his own level.
Yeah, they had to kind of meet in the middle.
And he can't. So he's trying to elevate. John's trying to match him, and to a degree he does, but John doesn't have that speed in those areas to handle getting kicked in the face. Right. He just has to stand there and let himself get kicked in the face. Yeah. So AJ Styles will probably have some really great matches to come with people not quite as beefy as John.
Yeah.
Although he couldn't ask for a better person to kick his ass, and you still believe that AJ could have won equally as much.
Yeah. No, it was a good match, and it just reminded me of how good a brand, a character, whatever you want to say, Cena is. Like, he feels like you watch him tonight, and it feels like watching Austin in his prime, The Rock in his prime, where there's something about, like, we were talking about his intro is still just so great. the way he carries himself, the way after the match, going to the crowd, just like everything that he does, it's just, and I guess it's just with experience. They've finally crafted into. He is really, really good.
Well, he's not playing the rapping guy anymore.
Yeah.
And he's not wearing just the camouflage, but he's also himself turned up to a much higher level.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a character of himself, but he's not a cartoon character like you would have in the early 90s, but he's enough of a character to where it feels bigger than just some of the guys that come out and wrestle. It's just like, oh, he's just a good athlete and he's wrestling. Okay, well, I need a little bit more than
his
that. His
personality, and as I said, I was kind of laughed at before. His intelligence and his thoughtfulness. I don't mean he brings you presents, but he is very thoughtful about what is being said about him, and he will hear the flaw in your argument and catch on to it. If it's written, or if he has to write it before he goes out there, or at least figure it out, he will find a way to twist some words and make you look like a fool. And something that I wish they showed more in the promos leading up to that match, on Tuesday night on SmackDown, the two guys basically got in the ring and just talked smack to each other. And AJ had some very good points. He said, I am the champion, and I'm in the 5th row on the poster. You can't even see me back there. Where's John Cena? Up front and center, and he hasn't been on this show for months.
And it feels like a Punk kind of thing.
Yeah.
What you're describing, it feels like
it feels like a
CM Punk kind of thing.
Well, when CM Punk dropped the pipe bomb, is what people called it. Yeah. He's talking about something that's real.
Yeah.
Yeah, and when he gets real about it, and he says, John, you're the past, and you haven't been here in a long time, and I am now the number one person on your card. Then John reminds him, you've been here 6 months, I've been here for a decade. I'm going to prove your butt wrong. You are whining, and that's all you're doing is you're talking. Yeah. You want all this stuff, and all you do is complain about it. I come out here, I show up, and I prove it every time, and you're going to find out. And then he flips the mic and walks out, and it went from a moment where AJ Styles had a legitimate argument, where you thought, yeah, he is right. Then John Cena, with his intelligence and his way to spin some words, turned the crowd on AJ. Now, granted, they didn't give him 5 minutes. They're like an Etch-a-Sketch, and they're going to be back on AJ's side. But this match, same thing. Yeah. The entire audience was cheering for both guys.
Yeah.
Granted, they do the John Cena sucks stuff.
Oh, yeah. That's standard now.
Standard.
But, he appreciates it. The crowd was by far the loudest for this match. Especially at the beginning. It was noticeably,
and it just stayed loud for the first 5 minutes of the match.
I mean, again, the match did run a little long, but most of it just a lot of energy.
Yeah, it was 24 minutes. Anything in a 20-minute match. Television matches are about 12 minutes. So when Kevin Owens' match was 23 and John Cena was 24, not crazy amount of time.
Yeah.
Shall we talk about the Rumble?
Yeah. Let's move on to the main event of the main event of the main event. So the Royal Rumble itself, the 30th Royal Rumble, right? This is the 30th anniversary?
I think so, yeah. This is a big deal. I always love this match. I love the idea of the match. I love when a good idea comes together. And I'm trying to remember the retired wrestler who came up with it, but he plugged it for a while, and the powers that be were like, no, that's stupid. And finally they had some sort of live event that they didn't know what to book it. And he's, we got to use that idea. What's it called? The Royal Rumble. How does it work? And then the crowd just ate it up. The first ever Royal Rumble winner was Hacksaw Jim Duggan.
Right.
And there's some other legendary things. What I love is watching the promos before to see
all the
stats of the people who stayed in a long time or threw out the most people. Because it's like a history lesson. These are people who cared about doing this before it mattered that they had stats.
Right.
Like the WWE cares about now.
Yeah, this is before anybody thought about 20 years in the 30 years in the future kind of thing,
This is my second favorite gimmick match. My number one is TLC.
Yeah, TLC is a lot of fun.
Tables, ladders, and chairs, just because I've always been a fan of the Hardy Boys, Edge and Christian, and the Dudleys. But I just love watching these guys come out, and you don't know who's next.
The Rumble's great, too, because it feels like watching a couple weeks worth of wrestling crammed into an hour, where you get little moments, little spots from different people you like, and you get to have little fun moments, and you don't have to grind through 20 minutes of them just slapping each other to get to that fun spot. It's just, you get to jump. So it's almost like short attention span kind of wrestling, which can be fun.
Kind of is, because every 2 minutes another person comes in.
Right. That being said, this one tonight, I was kind of disappointed.
I will agree as well. This had some of the funniest spots.
There were some really good spots, but it felt like at least half the guys did nothing. They came out, they fell over, they rolled around for 5 minutes, they got eliminated.
So you had... Okay, I'll get into some specifics.
Yeah.
Just because... otherwise, we can go round and round about some guys, that guy, this guy. Mm-hmm. You had heavy hitters come in who did some great things. Big Cass was one of those. Mm-hmm. Mojo Rawley came in, and he was a brawler. Yep. Big Show came in, and you thought, oh, this is going to be some good stuff. Yep. Now, he went out fairly early.
Yeah, that's what I thought, because you had Big Cass, then you had Mojo come out, and then Mark Henry came out, which was cool. And Big Show, and it felt like, oh, we're just going to build up and just have all the big guys, and all versus Braun Strowman. And then they just started eliminating him. Big Show got tossed out. Mm-hmm. I mean, he wasn't in there more than a couple minutes.
And they kept Braun Strowman in for quite a while.
A really long time.
And Sami Zayn stayed in for a long, long time.
Yeah.
The only person who stayed in longer than him, I think, was Chris Jericho.
Chris Jericho.
Because dude was hiding outside the ring.
He was outside the ring most of the time. He came back in near the end.
That's a smart veteran move. Yeah. You just lay outside and wait for your spot. But I think the writing should be better. If you don't have something good for them to do towards the end to like win or help someone else win, you chuck them out within...
Yeah, what's the point of bringing him in at number 2 if he's going to sit outside the whole time? Mm-hmm. He really should have been jumping in and out and popping people in the face and running away again.
Roman Reigns, who was the last one to come out, to no applause, even from his fans.
That was really disappointing.
Why? Let's change it. Let's have Roman Reigns come out at number 29, and then have Undertaker come out at number 30. Let's not have Roman Reigns come
out at all. It doesn't make any sense. Why have him out there at all? Yeah. He already fought tonight.
Yeah, we didn't need Roman Reigns.
Do you remember the match he had? The 25-minute knockdown, drag out.
Why is he here now?
Why is he back out? Why is he okay? How can he be at all standing?
Even throwing Enzo Amore, who is just one of my favorites. This guy's so funny.
And then he gets eliminated immediately.
But they did that on purpose to have him run in, go up against the big heavy, and get chunked right out.
Yeah, but they did the same thing when James Ellsworth came out. Mm-hmm. And that was funny. And it was like, okay. But then when Enzo came out, it was almost the same thing. Silly guy runs in, gets immediately eliminated. It's like, oh, well, no, have him stay in there a little while. It could be fun.
I think they threw out some of the bigger guys that could have stayed in till the end to make it more believable. Mm-hmm. The fact that Randy Orton won tells me I don't know that they know where they were going for this WrestleMania.
Yeah, you made an interesting comment after the fact. You said that you'd heard that the rumor was that creative didn't even know until this morning.
And sometimes that is what creative will release through channels to keep it shaken up. So you believe that it's more unplanned than it is?
If that's true, I mean, how bad of a sign is that if you don't know where you want your... if this is the start of the road to WrestleMania, shouldn't you already have all this planned out?
Why is Randy Orton, who's currently the second banana in the Wyatt family, that's splitting up...
Right.
I don't understand that unless there's more to the story. I've heard rumors that they were going to pin the title on Bray Wyatt. In my opinion, this would have been the way to do it. You have him win the Royal Rumble, heading to WrestleMania,
and have him betray Randy Orton to do it, and
even do that at the last second to win the title, to make him a bad guy again because he's such a fan favorite. Yeah, I don't know. Apollo Crews came out there, did nothing.
Yeah.
Dolph Ziggler came out there, did nothing.
Ziggler did nothing. Rusev didn't really do anything. He came in and knocked a couple guys down, and then he was on his back the whole time.
I don't even know if
Cesaro did hardly anything.
Yeah, Rusev didn't get anybody out.
The Miz didn't seem like he did anything other than get beat up.
Yeah, he took some good spots. New Day all performed very well.
New Day had a couple little spots. I was kind of disappointed that they all got eliminated at the same time.
But that was fun.
Yeah, it made sense to have them working together and then all get eliminated at the same time.
What I'm most disappointed in is the lack of call-ups that we got to see. And part of that, I understand, has to do with the way WWE works right now and the way NXT works. What they used to do more often is to have someone show up the Monday after WrestleMania. So WrestleMania Sunday night, and then Monday you bring in a new face. Yeah. You totally shake it up with somebody fresh. Right. And that's a great way to have some buzz and keep people excited going into, WrestleMania is kind of the end of the wrestling year in their mind. Right. Starts fresh the next day. Super Bowl. But NXT has already called up so many freaking people lately because of the brand split. Yeah. They've kind of tapped themselves dry.
They've kind of worn everything out.
So they don't have anyone else to just give.
Well, what I heard, and you mentioned it, I think, before it started, and I've heard this all over the place, is Samoa Joe was the big expectation to come out tonight because he's kind of languishing in NXT. He's been there as long as Baron Corbin and a bunch of these other guys who are up now.
But he was also a TNA superstar for a while. So there is a bit of deprogramming that has to be done going from one to the other. TNA is a little faster. WWE has a little better pacing. It's still too fast, but it's better in paced. But they had AJ Styles skip that because he is such an amazing athlete, and he figured it out very quickly. Yeah. So he came over, debuted in last year's Royal Rumble, and then since has won the championship. Yeah. Lost it, but also was trying to defend it at this Royal Rumble.
Yeah, right in there for the running of it.
Yeah, so he's had a great year. Why couldn't we have brought in more people? There are other names, there are other TNA people that are sort of floating in the breeze. Maybe WWE has a better plan for them, but you could have kicked to the curb some of these people that would have been better off joining those pre-show kickoff matches.
Well, yeah, and my biggest complaint is that we knew that there were 3 legends coming out, basically. We knew Brock, we knew Goldberg, and we knew Undertaker. We're all going to be there.
So we put them at the end of the pack.
So you're putting them at the end, and so the feeling is, wow, this is going to be great. There's going to be some great spots between these 3, and basically all 3 of them did nothing and got eliminated immediately. I mean, Brock came in and cleared house a little bit.
Yeah, Brock went and leveled the playing field and did multiple German suplexes, did a F5 or 2 on some people.
His suplexes were nuts. He was throwing guys completely across the ring into the opposite turnbuckle.
And they're having to, when one would hit, they'd have to scramble and fall out of the ring.
To get out of the way before the next one came in, he had a nice moment, but then Goldberg comes in and throws him right out. And I get what they're doing. I get that they're building up to WrestleMania, but that felt really cheap to me after what they did at
Survivor
Series.
Well, and they've had some run-ins in between since then. Then I kind of buy into them trying to build up this story, this animosity, these 2 giants who have fought in the past a couple of times. So how do you make the stakes even higher? Yeah. You have the good guy go over the bad guy multiple times, and between now and then, I guarantee Brock is going to do some crap to Goldberg. Maybe he's going to break into his family's home and they go and film that. And then all of a sudden, now Goldberg needs to protect his family and put the Beast down for good. Or is the Beast going to take out Goldberg and put him into retirement for good? And then Goldberg has another 2 years of being the monster. Yeah. I'm okay with what they did there because Royal Rumble is a way to set up storylines for WrestleMania.
Right, yeah, you don't want the 2 of them to come in there and have like an 8-minute showdown for the Royal Rumble because that's not what the Royal Rumble's about. I agree, but
they wasted the most fun part. You added Ty Dillinger, who is a good guy, good talent from NXT, who did less than nothing, was useless. You don't know if he's a high flyer. You don't know if he's a luchador or a striker.
He came in
and master,
hit a couple people and
got tossed right out.
Pretty much it. Yeah.
They wasted a James Ellsworth for a joke, which was kind of funny, but
if that had been the only spot that felt wasted, I would have been okay with it. But because there were several other spots that felt like they weren't used well, that kind of drove home like that could have been Samoa Joe.
That could have been anyone. And just because you go to a WWE show doesn't mean you've been called up. Ty Dillinger can get sucked right back down. That might have just been a fill-in. Maybe there was someone else they were supposed to have. They couldn't make it. They said, Ty, you're up, buddy. Go make us proud. You're just going to go in, work 5 minutes, get thrown out.
Yeah, I'm looking back. He got thrown out by Braun Strowman like so many other people did. So, yeah, I mean, he was just kind of cannon fodder in there to make Strowman look strong.
Jack Gallagher, who's just recently been coming up, had the best moment, in my opinion, the funniest moments of... He was just doing shtick.
Yeah.
But for him to come out, be uniquely different that a lot of people still haven't seen.
Yeah, I haven't seen him before. I didn't know about him, and I was like, who is this?
Hilarious. He was worth having.
That was fun, yeah.
But then you've got Dolph Ziggler, who deserves so much more, but waste of space. And then they're still playing up the Luke Harper falling out with the rest of the family.
Yeah, I would have liked him to more making him look a little stronger. If you're going to set him up breaking apart with the family, let's make him look a little. But he kind of he messed with him a little bit, and then he got beat down, and that was kind of it.
He is truly one of the giants of the company. He's huge.
Yeah, he's a big
Eric
guy.
Rowan is also just massive guys, and their strength and speed. I can't say they're unparalleled because there's some other beasts in there, but have him be the monster of the family now that Braun Strowman's gone.
Right.
They didn't even do that. So in the end, it was very fun.
Yeah.
Ending with Randy Orton as the victor was more satisfying than Roman Reigns would have been.
I agree, and I really, when Roman came out, I was like, uh-oh.
You felt it, didn't you?
And then they were playing with him going out, and then who did he eliminate? Oh, no. Oh, yeah. I forgot already because I want to block this completely out of my mind. If you want to make Roman the most hated man in the country, he eliminated the Undertaker in a pathetic way. Too. It wasn't like strength versus strength. It was just he surprised him and flipped him over.
Just took a chance, took him out.
I
would love to see Roman Reigns versus the Undertaker at WrestleMania, which is what I think they decided to do.
Maybe.
Again, this isn't the place to end a story. It's the place to start a story.
Yeah.
To pay off in 2 months.
I don't like the matchup between those two. I just don't. Maybe, if we could get
Who else
Undertaker,
would you see against the Undertaker?
That's the problem. If you could get the Undertaker from 15, 20 years ago against Roman Reigns, that would be pretty fun. But he's at the point now where it's like, who's he going against?
Roman Reigns can protect him well enough in a match, and it still be a unique setup we haven't seen before.
Yeah.
Do not give me Undertaker flipping Randy Orton again.
No. I think the only person I would like to see with Undertaker would be Goldberg, but I don't know that Undertaker could take... Because I would love to see a match where he just takes spear after spear after spear and keeps getting back up. Taker's not going to be able to take spears. He's not going to be able to...
couldn't take that.
If you looked at what happened, 3 years ago now, when he took all those suplexes and F5s from Brock, and you thought it killed him,
and it damn near did.
To see him, I don't think he's able to take that kind of stuff. But
Undertaker,
that's the only
he's
match
in
I can see.
the best shape he's been in 5 years.
Yeah, he looks a lot better than he did back in the Brock fight.
He did fantastic in this match. When he was thrown out of the ring, he sat up like nothing.
Yeah,
and just looked over at Roman Reigns like, "You son of a bitch."
It was a good spot. If it had been anybody other than Roman Reigns, I would have kind of liked that.
I think they need to keep pushing Roman so the audience has to decide whether they like him or hate him.
Well, that's what I like. That's what was so weird for me, because in Roman's fight earlier in the night against Kevin Owens, I started to really like Roman. I was like, oh yeah, okay, I'm liking it. And then he comes in at the end, and you're like, oh, here we go again. And then he eliminated the Undertaker, and I'm like, oh. Well, and now I don't like him anymore. I don't like him again. But let's turn him heel. Do it. Just do it.
I think he would lose some appeal to a certain part of the audience, so they're going to have to keep him at this weird... If they turn him all the way heel, then they can bring him all the way back face. But they lose a lot of the audience who's behind him when he's still being partial.
I will say, man, compared to what I've seen him do in the past, he had a lot of fans there tonight.
Huge.
I would, because I'm so used to seeing it just constant boos when he comes out. He had a lot of people behind him, especially in his match with Kevin Owens.
My personal thoughts, the best thing to do for him as a character would be have him go more heel. Mm-hmm. Have Seth stay where he is. Yep. Stop trying to be more face and still be that asshole that knows he's the best, and the audience will tell you from match to match how to be accepted. Yep. And keep doing that for a while, and eventually you have Dean Ambrose turn heel just enough for the Shield to get back together as heels.
As babyface heel, kind of
babyface
like really likable evil guys.
And out of nowhere, the audience will flip on them in one match, and they will be the top faces of the company. Yeah. All three of them together. Yeah. But then how are you going to split them back apart? When they're all three marquee guys.
One of them betray the other. Yeah,
they've already done that. We've seen it.
Everybody's already done that.
So
I agree with that, yeah.
Except for proposing what we think they should do. I think we have a lot of the road to WrestleMania ahead of us to see what they're going to do with all these little dangling plot lines. Mm-hmm. What's going to happen with the tag team titles now that they're on Anderson and Gallows? What are they going to do with the women's championship now that Charlotte is still reigning supreme? Kevin Owens continues his reign. We have a new cruiserweight champion.
Mm-hmm. What are they going to do with Cena? Because now he's tied...
Yeah, we forgot to mention tied with Ric Flair,
which is huge, and it's going to be. So my question is: are they going to drop the title off of him so that this WrestleMania they can break the record?
I think
or are they going to wait until next? Yeah, I agree.
They would wait until right before Cena's going to retire.
Yeah,
they would essentially hang it on him to do a swan song.
Do you think they would? Do you think they would put it on him one more time after this, or do you think
him to retire?
You think so?
I think that would be the "we love you, thank you." Mm-hmm. We're going to send you off as the longest reigning, the most championships. We'll probably never be able to beat that because it was flipping Ric Flair before you that did it. Yeah. No one else can even come that close. And the people who could come close are retired. Mm. Well, Triple H could make a play for it.
Oh, please, no.
Triple H, the other was Edge. I think those are the two closest because they dropped it and picked it back up pretty quickly at the end of the Attitude Era.
Yeah.
But I'm excited to see that, and I want to figure out what the hell they're going to do with Randy Orton, because I've had no care to see what he's been doing.
Yeah, I'm bummed about that, him being main event at WrestleMania. It's like, okay.
Part of why I fell out of love with him is I learned how he hurt himself. Taking trash out to the curb. Just carrying the bag. I mean, it was some other pre-existing injury, but he exacerbated it, just carrying a bag of trash out, and... that's how he was out for like 6 months or so. From the best WrestleMania moment in history, from Seth Rollins trying to do the curb stop, getting caught in like a 5-story fall into an RKO. Beautiful stuff. So I don't know. I think overall it was a fun show. The people we had over had a good time. It did end on a wet fart.
Yeah,
it really felt that way.
I'm surprised that the Owens, Reigns, and Cena Styles matches
were the
best of the night. Usually, you'd expect the Royal Rumble to be the best part of the night, and it was probably my least favorite match.
And if the Royal Rumble went first, and we ended with John Cena, AJ Styles, with John winning, that would have felt a little more satisfying to me for an event that I paid money to see. Yeah. Fortunately, I have the WWE Network, and I don't mess with pay-per-view anymore. But that was a fun Rumble.
Yeah, it was overall pretty good, but not the best.
So the road to WrestleMania begins.
Yes.
So in commemoration of Battle Month, we had a bit of a battle ourselves tonight, didn't we?
We did, yeah. This is the segment that all of our fans have been on the edge of their seat waiting to hear about.
I've been excited to do this.
Me too, yeah. We planned on doing this earlier and ran into some trouble, but we've gotten the chance to do it here this evening and came back and were able to record a little bit of an after action report.
So as we may have mentioned before, you might have even seen us posting online. We went to a brand new bar that opened in Asheville, in West Asheville, called the Retrocade.
Yep, where the Pour Tap Room used to be. I think it's the same people. They just rebranded and removed things around.
One huge bar, one long bar, 2 floors of retro arcade games.
Yeah, stuff from all over the place. I mean, they had a couple of cabinets that were kind of multiple game. Those commercial things you can buy that have, some of them had like 10 games, some of them had like 300. So those are the older stuff on those. They had more modern stuff. They had early 90s stuff, fighting games, racing games. So fairly recent stuff.
They had more than I expected they would.
Yeah, it was a wider range of years of releases than I'd expected. Yeah,
they had some great retro stuff that I enjoyed getting, behind the joystick again, and a few things that I hadn't played before. So it was kind of cool to get the breadth of it. Yeah. They even had the skee ball and a pool table downstairs. Yeah, the skee ball was something we'll have to dive into a bit more in the future. Yeah. And even some of those cabinets that had the multiple games, what was neat is that there were 3 or 4 of those that had some of the same ones.
Yeah, so you had the ability, if somebody was on one, you could still
go and play that game somewhere else, which I thought was kind of cool. And we did read a review from almost a month ago, or a little less than that, that was kind of dogging that, but I thought it was a great option. Yeah, there aren't that many that are that way.
We were talking about this while we were there, and the place is not massive. There's not a huge amount of space, so the idea that you could go in and, sure, I love the idea that they have an original Galaga machine, but if they're going to do that, they're going to run out of space really fast. To have one machine that's got Galaga and Pac-Man and everything else on it, I think works out.
They did have a Mrs. Pac-Man, for goodness sake.
They did have an original Mrs. Pac-Man.
So to do a few things like that, I think that's kind of a classy nod, but in reality, you could save space that way.
Yeah, absolutely.
The only critique that I have is there are a few machines that needed some TLC very badly.
Yeah.
That I would have liked to have played, but they weren't working, or there was a light gun that was off to the
light
side.
Guns were off a little bit on the one light gun game that was there. Some of the joysticks weren't. They needed a couple of new joysticks installed in some of the machines. I don't mind the machines themselves looking kind of worn because that adds to the charm. But when the guts don't work quite right, that was a little bit annoying. But overall, I mean, they're brand new. They just opened. I will say, we tried. I mentioned earlier that we tried this earlier. Last week, and when we went over there, they just happened to be closed the day we showed up.
I guess only day that week they were closed.
And so, the only day they've been closed so far, because they're open 7 days a week. So that was a bummer. We went back again tonight. They were open, thankfully, but they apparently had a busy weekend. We went on a Monday, and they just happened to be out of pretty much all their beers.
Everything.
Which was again, a big bummer. I mean, we weren't there tonight to party and have a rager. We were there to play games, but it was still kind of a bummer.
A few libations were in order.
We had some nice cider that I enjoyed a lot, and then I had a few domestic lagers that were
I was going to say that I have one too, but I remembered I didn't because they ran out while we were even there. The few things that they had bottles of,
they ran out of those.
They ran out of that, and there were only about 20 people in the building total.
Yeah, they pounded through the light lager pretty quickly, but they were expecting a delivery of kegs in the morning. Like I said, there's growing pains. I'm willing to. I love the idea. Their setup, their space seems like it's going to work really nicely with a couple of tweaks. I'm excited going forward. I think it's going to be a place. Hopefully they'll be able to make it because I know it's not. It is Asheville, and it's a touristy place, but this is a tough time of year to open up a bar, and it's a cool location. They're in a great spot in West Asheville, but I hope they make it. I hope they thrive, and I hope we get to go there.
Even on a Monday night this time of the year, there were 20 people in the door. Yeah, they're making some money.
They made their money tonight. So
all right, so enough about the retrocade.
Yeah, that was a little mini review of the place itself.
We'll get into that and a couple other places here soon.
Yes.
I want to talk about the epic battle.
The battle itself.
To tell you the truth, I thought it might have gone heavy one way or the other. I didn't know that in the end it was going to be that white knuckle for the both of us.
It was good. It started out like it might be a walk in the park, and then it got real competitive really fast, and it was a lot of fun. I had challenged you on Twitter like 2 weeks ago, I guess it was, when we thought we were going to get a chance to do this before, and challenged you to a retro game battle with the prize being, for February, you would be whoever the winner was.
Whoever the winner was.
Would be officially named the King of the FoundryCast. That's what's up for grabs tonight. The king of the FoundryCast, for February.
So, would you lay out for our audience what the rubric was? What did we set up for the competition? Because there were plenty of games to choose from. We broke it down into 4 categories.
Yeah, we went in, we kind of took a survey of the place, saw what was available, and planned out a strategy kind of on the spot in terms of what we were going to do. We decided 4 categories, because it fit with what the availability of machines was. We said retro, racing, fighting, and pinball. So retro is obviously the catch-all category. We were looking at older games preferably before 1990, which worked out well. But yeah, and then there were several different options for racing, several different options for fighting, and they had, I think 5 pinball machines too. So we had our pick, in each of those categories. We decided, just kind of on the spot, we were going to do 2 games from each category. We each got to pick 1 game that fell in each category. And with the goal of seeing who could win the most. It was straight up either versus in the case of like the racing and fighting, or it was highest score in cases of 1 player at a time sort of games.
And if something was questionable, we could sort of analyze it and concede to the other person. You indeed take the lead there.
We tweaked a few things as we went, which I'm sure we'll touch on. But so we started out. We decided to start out with racing.
And that was Initial D, wasn't it?
Yeah, the first game we picked was certainly the newest game that we played tonight.
It seemed like it.
Was the Initial D racing game, which I think came out either very late 90s or early 2000s. I played this before in the past. It's based on one of my favorite animes called Initial D that's about racing cars and drifting and all that cool stuff.
I had never played it before myself. At least I don't believe I have. I'm also not the best at true-to-life racing games. When I'm having to worry about drifting and I'm having to worry about gearing down, and that's not going to be it for me.
It's definitely a little bit more realistic. It's still an arcade style racer, but it's a lot more realistic than some other options you're probably used to. So
now here's the thing: I remember playing that tonight and looking back at you, and there were a couple times that you're banging against the walls, and I felt as if I was slamming into walls less than you were. I feel like you had more spin outs than I did. Could it have been the car choice? I don't know.
I'm not sure. I don't know. I didn't get a chance to look at both of our replays.
But to go ahead and say, you took the victory there.
I won there.
You won very handily.
That was some strategy on my part, again, because I knew I'd played the game you had, and also I knew that I'm a sim racing kind of guy. I'm experienced with that sort of stuff, so I knew I was going to have the advantage there. Part of the reason I picked that machine. So I took the win on Initial D.
Very smart choice.
And then we decided that the other racing game was your choice.
I picked Cruisin'. It was Cruisin' World.
Cruisin' World is the one. And, it was the 2. They had Cruisin' USA, but only the single player. And they had Cruisin' World with the 2 seats.
Always one of my favorite games. I feel like I usually rule in that one. I like the sort of cartoonishness of it. And then it's a little more twitchy. You got to pay attention to the cars coming at you. It's one that allows a person to come back from failure. When you're in the when you're far behind, you can usually catch up a bit.
There's a little bit of catch-up mechanic in that game. It's nice.
You and I were neck and neck. However, for most of the game, I had the lead.
Yeah.
For most of the game.
I agree.
I could see you coming up behind me. I would dodge and weave, and a taxi would take you out. A couple times I wrecked, and then you overtook me on the third lap.
Near the end.
And then literal photo finish.
Yeah, the first playthrough, and this is something we decided to do as per a moment, with the first playthrough was literally, hundredths of a second apart. Photo finish right at the end. I managed to pull it out, and I said, wow, that was too close to call, even though officially I did win.
Officially he won.
I said, let's do it again. Let's do it again for all the marbles in the racing category.
And you won again.
And I won again.
So in the driving sim market, you definitely handily won.
And you know what? I didn't mention at the start. We also decided when we did this that any person who won both of the games in a said category would be declared the king of that genre. So I am officially the FoundryCast king of racing games.
And very well earned, sir.
Indubitably, thank you.
So we moved on from there.
Yes.
I thought it would be great. We should probably leave pinball and combat to the end.
Yeah, because those are classic head-to-head kind of things. Yeah.
So we went with retro.
Right.
And the first game, this was your choice. You went with Dig Dug.
One of my absolute favorite arcade games of all time.
And I love it, but I was rather inexperienced with it. You went first. And did fairly well, but then you had a rock fall on your head.
That was almost immediate. I was trying to be fancy.
You were fancy.
And drop a rock on one of the enemies, and the joystick slipped. I'm going to say that. And the rock splatted me, which I was embarrassed about.
And then I came back and had a pretty good round. Still didn't do very well. There's still mechanics of the game that I didn't remember. So I was glad the rock killed you.
Yeah.
Because that reminded me, the rock can kill you.
Yes, rocks can kill you, yeah.
And then the second round, you did quite well. Got to the second level.
Yep.
The third round...
so by the time I died the third time, because you get 3 lives, I was ahead. I was pretty well ahead. And it was all up to you on your last life to try and catch up.
You know what? I had a feeling I was going to, because I figured it out. I figured out the way that they break off, and the way they rise to the top. I got the spacing down where I knew I could outrun them just enough and turn around and inflate them.
Most epic moment of the entire night.
It was just one after another.
Where it was instant. You were running and you had the little gap and you spun and pop. Another one's behind you, pop.
It was intense.
It was beautiful.
And then I went and blew it on the last guy. Ran right into him.
Him. So I pulled it out on Dig Dug and I won. So I went up 3-0.
3-0.
Right away. And it was looking like it was going to be a laugher.
If it had been 4-0, I would have probably just gave up.
Oh, no. You couldn't have gotten that.
There would be no way that you could win 4 games in a row and that I could win 4 back to back to back to back.
Nobody would have believed it.
It'd have been bad. However, I picked one of my favorites from the Atari that I did play a little bit as a kid, not for a long time, Burger Time.
I've played it just barely in the arcade once upon a time.
Never touched it in the arcade myself. So I remember the game, and I remember running out of pepper, and I wish I always had more pepper.
Yeah.
But got in there and juking back and forth. Maybe that Pac-Man training I had today helped with my reflexes.
I think it helped.
Because it's a very similar kind of game.
It's a sort of a maze game. You don't necessarily see it to look at it initially, but it is kind of just a maze and running from enemies sort of game. So.
And then I did clue you in. I think you probably would have noticed it anyways, but I clued you into a mechanic that the AI uses where they never double back.
Yeah, you can't turn around midstream. Yeah,
which is very useful. You can almost wait them out.
Yeah.
Which ladder they're going to go down.
Yeah, you were doing great leading them. Like you would move around, and then they would all just be behind you in a little pack. And then
if it was a timed game, I would have been screwed.
Yeah,
but I took my time with it, ran some laps.
Yep.
And if I was able to line them up a little bit better, a shot of pepper, and I would have had the whole board to myself for a few seconds.
Yeah.
I was in the lead. You had a very strong comeback. You made it to the final level. Ultimately, I redeemed myself.
You did. You clawed back and won.
Retro games were 1-1.
Yeah.
So overall, 3-1. Still your lead.
Yep.
And that's when we moved into pinball.
We moved on to the pinball, which, I'll be honest, going into this, I expected to dominate. I'm a big pinball fan.
Sure.
I have a pinball game on my PC that I play in my spare time.
I used to play a pinball game on one of the little Tiger handhelds. Played that for hours. The one that you got for free on all Windows computers there for a while.
Yeah, Space Cadet.
Space Cadet.
Yeah,
I played that for hours
all the time at work. Yeah,
I thought I could keep up.
I didn't know your background on it, but I felt very confident. I said, you know what? I love pinball. I know pinball. I'm going to dominate. And so there were a couple tables we decided there was actually 2 tables I think that were having some trouble tonight. So
one of them, the balls were just so bouncy. It was really rough, and I didn't know if maybe the table had some warping in it.
I think their tables just weren't. They need to be leveled a little bit better.
Could be.
I know one of the tables was leaning one direction. I think all of their tables could probably stand to be tilted towards the player more. They were all kind of slow. I felt. I mean, every table's a little bit different, but the ball coming down was a little slow. But we played Matahari first.
Matahari
right?
was the oldest looking one. Granted, it could have been a remake of something that's a bit newer, but there were no extra bells and whistles. It was your straight up 2 bumpers with your spinners and all the regular pieces that you expect, with no LCD screen, just had the numbers. It looked very classic.
I just pulled it up. Actually, released in 1978. So
if this was an original 1978, we had a classic.
It was. Yeah, it was. That was the original table. You could tell it was a little worn. I think one of the flags, little droppers was broken on it. I noticed that it was always down. But aside from that,
the drop target,
the dropper
on the left hand side, one was down.
It was in nice shape though. Otherwise, a fun table. I'd never seen it or played it before. I've never played it before in real life, but I haven't seen it online either.
Yeah,
so.
If I wanted to have a pinball table in my rec room that wasn't anything too big and flashy and looked kind of classic, this was perfect.
Yeah, it was definitely
it's called Matahari.
Yeah.
I got a chance to play it while you were playing another pinball game.
Yeah.
So that was the one that I picked.
Right.
Because you had no practice on
Strategy again on your part. You'd played it before that night. I hadn't played. The first time I played it was... and you made me go first, too.
I made you go first.
So I didn't get a chance to watch you play it, so I had no idea of how the table played. And... I'm trying to remember...
The first round, you stunk.
It was bad. The first couple of balls was really bad. My third ball got a little bit better, and then I drained it, and I said, "Oh, well, that sucked." And then I realized that because it's an old style table, it's a 5-ball game.
5 balls, which is so great.
A lot of older games, a lot of older tables did that. So I had a couple more balls, and the last 2 were a little bit better.
Yeah, you got better every
score
single
got
round.
A little bit up, and then you came in and you just went ahead and just dominated it completely.
Yeah, it was... Well, it wasn't until the 5th round. I still had...
Well, I remember your first ball, actually, because I scored at 86,000, something like that. Your first ball, you got 40,000 with.
But then the next ball was
big trouble here.
Was 1,000, like 10,000. Right. And I was slowly building up, and it wasn't until I got to the last one that I had a decent amount, and then I pushed a little bit more.
Yeah, you ran away with it.
And, but I still had some instances where... It just came down. I had nothing I could do. It went directly in between.
It's pinball, man. It happens sometimes.
It's true. That's the luck of the draw.
But yeah, that was a lot of fun. And then we turned around, and the other...
Smartly, you picked the one that only you had played.
I did the exact same thing. I picked a table that I had played earlier that night you hadn't even touched, and that was The Simpsons.
And the same painful thing happened, but worse. I got to go first.
Yep.
And I had some stinkers come through where it would go down the left-hand lane, and it wouldn't bump back in, and
yeah,
I was feeling very cheated by the table, and I got a very paltry score.
I pulled away on that one, which made me feel good because after I lost it in Matahari, I was like, oh man, I thought I was the pinball wizard, and I am not. Yeah, the Simpsons game was nice. I'd never actually played that one before. 2003. I just looked it up. 2003? No, that's not right. That's a different pinball machine. This one was from 1990. I just found the other one. This was from right at 1990. You could tell because it had references to early episodes on there. It was a fun table, but it wasn't. It was a quarter eater.
It sure was.
Which, as I recall, from other tables from that era, they tended to be like that. They drained the center between the two flippers was really wide. Those side lanes were really easy to get the ball into. So. It was kind of a frustrating table.
It was kind of fun to hear some of those Simpsons voice bits that were added in that were super advanced for the time.
Yeah.
Although it made no sense. It was just random
it was just
sound
clips
effects.
from the show.
But then when it was your turn to go, in your first ball, you beat my score from all 3.
Yeah. You had a rough night on the Simpsons.
I had a rough night on Now, this is what happened, and I didn't say it to you. I was going to wait and see if I had a better round.
Here come the excuses.
No excuse.
Oh, okay.
No excuse. After you were finished, I jumped back on it because I wanted to feel redeemed.
Right, try it again.
And I had a much better round.
You did, yeah.
But I was going to call horse malarkey.
Yeah.
If I doubled your score.
Oh.
If I doubled your score, I was going to call for a rematch on one of the other janky tables.
Oh.
But I didn't even meet your score that second time. I got closer. I was fairly close that third time. But I felt like, okay, now look at this. I just doubled your score. Something happened. But I wasn't close enough.
I don't know if I would have accepted that rematch, though.
I would have challenged you to rematch on the Demolition Man table.
I'd say that's another one you'd played earlier and I hadn't played. That would have been.
I would have played the other one if it wasn't broken.
That's true.
You know what? I would have gracefully taken you back to Matahari.
But I felt good. At least I managed to redeem myself on the pinball. So after that, we were
4-2.
4-2.
You had 4-2 over me.
But here's the thing. Our last category, as we mentioned, was fighting.
Now, I thought this was where it was going to totally eat me alive, because fighting games can be very white knuckle to the very end. Everybody's trying the last possible kick maneuver you can do. Yeah. And then the choices we were going to make for the fighting game were super crucial.
Agreed. That being said, I know I am awful at fighting games. I always have been. I always will be. I suck at them. I don't care who I'm fighting against. I'm probably going to lose, and that's why I was worried going into this.
Well, you made a huge tactical error.
Yes.
Do you know what it was?
The game I picked?
Yes.
Which game I picked?
Samurai Showdown would have been a 50-50 draw.
Right. Yeah, so we started out, we were trying to find the right fighting game to play. And we originally were going to look at Street Fighter 2. Mm-hmm. And then we found a machine it was a multicade machine, so it had a bunch of different... and I said, you know what, let's look around. And I saw Samurai Showdown 2.
I was like, let's do it. Fine.
And I said, let's do that. I never played the second one, but who cares? I'm going to lose anyway. It's going to be fun.
Interesting backstory. I did play a lot of Samurai Showdown, one of those games... when I was stuck at the military entrance processing station the few times I had to go before I actually went into the Marines.
Right.
Because you have this great room with one TV and it's reruns of The Snorks and Little House on the Prairie and just like the most tame crap that they could have for all the people who are going in the military. But since I had to go for several medical tests, I had to keep going back down there. Uh-huh. And every time I went, I would take some quarters, and that was that, and not Bubble Bobble, but one of those Bubble Bobble kind of games where that's all there was to do. So I did play that game a bit, but that was so long ago. I had a feeling that I would be okay, but I knew it was going to be a 50-50 draw.
Yeah.
Especially because you picked it and you were excited about it.
Well, because I'm excited about the theme of the game. I remember playing the original at the Pizza Hut just up the road here, near where we both grew up. Oh, yeah. They had it there for a long time.
Oh, okay.
So I said, it's going to be fun. It's a great game. It'll be fun. Started it up, and for whatever reason, the settings were set up in the character select where we have like 3 seconds to decide. And we were both browsing characters, and just all of a sudden it just picked somebody random.
And I knew who I wanted too.
Yeah, I did. I had already decided, but I still wanted to. And anyway, so we started that match, and then we were like, oh, you know what? I don't want to play this character. He said, I'll just kill you really quick, and then And then it was taking a really long time, and I said, you know what? No, because we were standing next to an actual authentic Tekken 3 machine. And I said, or was it Tekken 2? It was Tekken 3. I think it was 3. Right?
I don't know. Well,
I think it was Tekken 3.
Yeah.
Anyway, we were standing next to a Tekken machine. And I said, you know what? Let's just take 2 steps to the left. Let's play Tekken. Which, again, I've never played Tekken. Ever.
I've played it, but it's the fighting combat scheme is so different than the game I played before.
Very different, yeah.
I told you, I think it was in a previous podcast,
yeah.
You play a character like Law, who has the most backwards moves.
Yeah.
It's so disorienting, you can win easy. And then you pick
the
robot.
I picked the robot because it's a robot. And again, I knew I was going to lose because it's a fighting game. I'm like, I'm going to do the robot because that sounds like fun.
And I picked Law.
Turns out robots are really slow. And the character based on Jackie Chan is really fast. Yes. Or not Jackie Chan, Bruce Lee.
No, this wasn't the Bruce Lee one.
Is that the Bruce Lee guy?
No, this was the Jackie Chan police officer.
Anyway, it was a massacre. Is what it was.
It was. It could have been worse had I been able to pull off any of the moves that he can do, because he almost does that Muay Thai kind of. This move leads into this move. That's almost like a dance. That's very disorienting. if I could have figured that out.
At one point, I made the robot's hands glow.
That was cool.
And I was like, I did something.
Something's about to happen.
And then nothing happened?
No.
They just went away? Yeah, I got punched and it was over. And then I tried to replicate that and I couldn't.
No.
So, yeah. I lost badly.
I'm catching up now. Mm-hmm. It is 4-3. You already have the win.
No. We're playing for a tie.
But we're playing for a tie now. Mm-hmm. If I don't win, you do.
Right.
It's already there. You already have what you need.
I just need to defeat you one more time.
Yeah, keep me from winning. Mm-hmm. That's it. So we go to Mortal Kombat 2.
Right.
And you picked Kung Lao.
By mistake.
Because you thought it was going to be Raiden.
I looked really quickly. I saw the dude with the hat. Because I remember they changed Raiden's look. And I said, oh, that's Raiden. And then I realized, that's not Raiden.
But I offered you a chance. No, that's okay.
I said no, because, again, it's a fighting game. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to be just as good.
Kung Lao's hat, though, it has that arc. It's not straight. It's an arc.
He has a knife hat.
Oh, my God.
I don't know how to use it, but he has a knife hat.
He can rip the person up. He's got the knife hat.
So...
And I picked my boy, Sub-Zero.
And you froze me to death.
You spent more time frozen than moving.
You did.
Now, granted, that doesn't mean you didn't get me...
I will say, it was close.
On my ass.
It was very, very close at the end.
It's very close.
You
got me back in the corner.
I
couldn't freeze the floor like I wanted to. I kept trying to do it, and I was using a high kick instead of a low kick.
I was timing my jumps to jump over your ice beams, and I was getting there.
And I remembered how to do the uppercut. Yep. That was the other thing. Freeze, get uppercut underneath them.
That's your max damage.
Jump kick.
Yep.
It was going well. You were jumping over my ice beams, and my health dropped so fast.
Yeah, because I caught you with like a roundhouse kick, and then a trip kick, and then an uppercut, all in a sequence, and it was like sliver of health each, and then you got me.
Boom!
You got me.
So that would make me.
You are the king of fighting games.
For the Foundry, I'm the king of fighting games.
You are the king of fighting games, sir.
I never thought I would have that title.
All hail to the king.
I'm going to have to work really hard to uphold that title.
You're going to have to defend that title.
I'm going to practice it.
You're going to have to defend.
I will.
Just as I will defend my title as king of racing.
I'm just going to keep wearing this Retrocade armband and keep going back in for a week and go to every King of Fighters and Fatal Fury.
Yeah, start practicing at all of them, huh?
Try to find a Primal Rage and Clay Fighters, and there's some terrible games on some of those.
Oh, yeah, that was a lot of fun, actually, tonight, is just scrolling through and seeing all like the terrible Chinese knockoffs that never got released in the U.S.
Some of those that I want to play that because it looks so flippin' crazy.
Yeah, we should probably go back and do that at some point.
So, would you consider this anticlimactic? Because in the end, it's a tie.
That's the thing, though. At the beginning of the night, we had said, because we created this format, eight games, we said there's a very real chance of a tie. We said we should have a tiebreaker if such a tie occurs.
Yes.
Such a tie occurred. We decided we're going to wait.
We're going to wait. Again, is that anticlimactic? I feel almost like it is, but I think the idea is that we want to host an event for the Foundry that we'll announce through our Facebook and Twitter.
Right, yep.
And anybody who wants to meet us at the Retrocade, and we'll give you the details on what it costs to be there and what their drinks are like. We're going to call in advance and make sure
they're open.
We found out the other week. Make sure they're open. Make sure that they have their beer there. And
just a heads up from where we were sitting tonight, it's $10 to play the games. If you want, apparently, if you don't want to play the games, you don't even have to pay that fee.
Yeah, you can just be there.
You can just hang out and have a drink. But if you want to play the games, it's $10. You can play as much as you want. It's all free play for as long as you want, and then drinks.
Every game you want to play that game 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 times. Yep. I don't know if there are any rules against cabinet camping, but it doesn't seem to be a big deal. If someone says, "Hey, can I play? Can I have next?" I'm sure they're going to move out of the way.
Sure.
But we'll have to find a way to.
We'll get them coordinated. I don't think it's going to be... I don't think it's anticlimactic in that I agree there hasn't been a king decided yet, but We're going to make it happen, and we're going to give everybody... my goal is to hopefully have some folks that join us. We'll give them a choice. They'll get to choose the games that we play.
Okay.
To have a tiebreaker.
All right, we'll have to do an odd number of games.
Right. We'll do an odd number this time.
Like a 5,
either 3 or 5,
7,
maybe even 7, we'll post the details on that going forward, and I hope you guys can join us. If you can't even join us, just post, reply to the post. We'll mention more about it, but reply to the post and suggest some games that you want us to see us play or talk about playing at the very least. We'll try and do some footage of it as well. We did a little bit tonight.
Yeah, so the king of games for the FoundryCast, the Foundry Undecided, there has been a tie, but we do have a king.
You know what we should say, actually, now that I think about it, instead of being king of racing and king of fighting games, we should be the princes. I'm the prince of racing games, and you're the prince of fighting games. Because there's only one king. You see what I'm saying?
No, I'm the king. Hail to the king,
Hail
baby.
to the king, baby. All right, well, Cyrus, I think we're drawing towards the end of episode 13, and also towards the end of January. That is Battle Month, as we announced back at episode 11, I think it was, that we announced that we're going to start doing months, and we decided January is going to be Battle Month. But we've done a kind of a variety of videos and other posts kind of fitting into that theme. We played some games that are about battling. We've had ourselves our own little battle between you and I, a competition.
Some of it brewing, some of it will continue on for months to come.
For sure. Let's look back at kind of how it went and what we learned. I don't know.
I think it's interesting that you said at the end of the previous podcast or in the last couple that how much of this is a learning process.
Right, it is, yeah.
And the FoundryCast itself is sort of a behind the scenes. You know, we are talking a little bit in clip type fashion, but we also want to share with you, the listener, the viewer, a little bit of what it takes. And
right.
I think you said it very aptly that having a theme month helps focus what we're doing.
It has.
Set some micro deadlines that you have to make. I think for the idea in month number 1, it was very successful. Was it the thing that revolutionized the Foundry?
No. But it wasn't intended to be that.
No. But it was fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think I've definitely found a couple of things out of it that have been really helpful. I mean, the biggest thing for me is that I decided to start Twitch streaming some gameplay, doing Doom and Doom 2 so far this month, and then I wanted to try and get the new Doom game done, which I'm kind of in the process of doing as well. But discovering Twitch streaming, and I've written some posts about that on our blog, on our webpage, and I probably will write more and think more about it. But discovering that and discovering the joy of streaming and rediscovering the joy of playing games has been really fun. It's hard sometimes when you do videos and you have an idea ahead of time what you want the video to be. You make the video, and as you're doing it, you're thinking, "Oh, that could be better. I'm going to edit it, and I'm going to change this and change that." When you stream, it's stream of consciousness. It is it's live. You don't get to change things. You don't get to edit things. It's a different way, I think, of doing a video, and it's really, really rewarding.
It seems fresher, and it allows you to make mistakes, whereas a pre-recorded version, you kind of feel like you could do that takeover again.
Yeah, I did this actually just the other day. I was recording some stuff, and I was thinking about it in that way where I started recording a video and got about 5 minutes in, and I was clearing my throat a lot. And I decided I'm going to start over, and I went back and started over again. And I'm like, on a stream, I wouldn't be able to do that.
Can't do that.
But then I look back at the streams I've done, and I'm coughing a little bit and other things, but it's you just move on, and it's a different feeling. And I mean, there's pros and cons to both, but that's been a really rewarding aspect. It doesn't necessarily tie in to Battle Month, it's just been kind of a coincidence that I've decided to do some videos that way. Mm-hmm. But that's been really rewarding. It's been a lot of fun.
I've learned, not everything has to be the theme oriented, but it does give you sort of a guideline of a way to push what you want to make, to push crafting on my end. And I've found that life is really hard. Yeah. We already knew this. But to meet certain deadlines, it's good to put them there, even if you can't meet them.
Sure.
It's good to push yourself.
Yeah.
I found that it's a lot easier for me to write. I can write and write all day, but it takes me a lot longer to set up an environment, to plan it out, to record it, to disassemble the environment, and then edit, and then how long does it take YouTube to upload now? It's insane. Yeah. And then I'm also making the thumbnail for the video. Right. Gotta make that look great nowadays, because the thumbnail is so important. Yeah. You squeeze by a bland thumbnail and nobody wants to watch it. Yeah. So you have to basically produce the video, then make the thumbnail. It's a lot. So I think that I'm gonna have to set a little easier steps for myself. Yeah. Smaller videos, smaller ideas. Yeah. More blog posts.
Yeah, I'd like to pursue more. I've done a couple of little like quick hit blog posts that have been really rewarding. One of my problems when I look at articles or something to write, it's kind of tough to plan out and think about a long article. But something like It's Almost Stream Consciousness is almost like streaming. It's true. I'm going to make a quick hit video, or a quick hit post. Spit out a few quick thoughts in no particular order, and create this, lay it out, and I find that really rewarding in its own way too.
With that, I think that streaming and using Twitch and doing quicker hits like that, and more create something and just directly have it out there without editing, is a route that I'll go down a little bit more myself. And at the same time, I think part of where I've been holding back is myself. I want to put out a polished product that is representative, that someone goes to my YouTube channel and sees it and they're going to think, this is really cool, I'm going to follow this guy, he's got gloss for days. And that's not what people in the crafting community go for. It's people who are very real, who are personal. Right. I need to be more honest with...
They want the content. They don't want the show.
Yeah, they want the content. But they also want the person. And that's what makes DM Scotty so popular. Yeah. He has amazing crafts, but you can tell he's just the nicest guy. Yeah. Shirt off his back kind of guy. And, I would rather meet him than almost any celebrity. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I feel like I would be getting to meet a friend that I hadn't ever spent time with directly.
Yeah, it's that earnestness that even goes back to earlier in the episode. We were talking about YouTubers and some of them who are in it for the money versus some who are in it just for the passion of what they do. And somebody like that, you can recognize really quickly on somebody where they care about what they're doing, they care about the product they're making, they're doing it because they love to do that, and that's something that is infectious.
And I think that that's something that will come across better on Twitch. Yeah. Because people who come across you and then realize they're hanging out with you. Yeah. They're not hanging out with the paint that you're applying to the miniature. They're hanging out with you. So that's given me a little bit of inspiration to go through into the next month that we've got coming up.
Yeah, February is coming up immediately after this podcast. So yeah, we need a new theme.
I think we decided what it would be.
We discussed beforehand.
Now, we did have to weigh some options. There's some things that we really want to do. Yes. But we still got about a month or two before we can make those happen.
We've got some time. There's a lot of planning involved, and so later themes in the year are probably going to revolve around some of that more complicated planning.
And we also have some... we might be able to go ahead and decide what July... I think we already know what July is going to be.
Yes, yes.
So we're going to keep that as a secret for now.
Yeah. You'll be able to find out when the time comes.
Yeah, but some of these are a little more flexible. Yes. And this is one that I'm more excited about. Just because it's open. for interpretation.
Yep.
It's fun.
Yep.
It's very popular right now.
True.
You want to say what it is?
Yes. I'll announce it here officially first. Our theme of the month, our official Foundry theme for February 2017 is Witches and Wizards.
Yeah!
Yeah!
So we're talking fantasy, we're talking Hogwarts, we're talking...
magic.
Anything,
laser
magic.
Beams. Cauldrons.
Witches and wizards.
All kinds of stuff. Maybe it might fit good in October, but who cares? It's February.
We can do darker things in October.
Yeah, exactly. We're going to have a good time. I think this... the battle theme, and that was something that I was dealing with when I was trying to come up with video ideas and games that I wanted to play and some other things, is kind of limiting. It's not... It was wide open, but it was also like, does this fit with this theme? Oh, not really. Okay, I should do this instead. Witches and Wizards is really, really open. I've already got some ideas that I want to do that are on one end of this, and I know you've got some ideas that are other ends. It's going to give us a lot of room to run around and explore and have fun, and it's going to be great. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm excited about it too, and I'm already thinking of ways to twist the theme around a little bit.
Yeah.
And I think Battle Month, we were really wanting to get more collaborative gameplay, which we can do anytime just because it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yes, yeah. We'll continue doing some of the stuff that you've already seen on our channel going forward and heard in this podcast as well.
And Witches and Wizards is still such a great opportunity to play some other games that are out there.
Yeah, tons. I'm always going to be doing Twitch streaming. I'm always going to be doing gameplay going forward in every month, every theme, for sure.
There is a game that is it's Doom / Wolfenstein. I can't remember the name of it.
Hexen.
You're
thinking of Hexen and Hexen 2? Have them both. They're amazing.
That might be a thing.
Maybe I'll do those. I don't know. We'll see.
I loved Hexen.
Actually, I think there's 3 Hexen games. I think there's a 3D one as well.
I don't think I made it past the second level in Hexen, but I do remember playing a lot of that game.
Yeah, it was fun. It is a lot of fun.
It's probably, just like you mentioned to me before, one of those games that might be a little repetitive in level design.
It's came out after Doom, so it's better. We were talking earlier about Return to Castle Wolfenstein, which can get rough after a while. There's only like 4 or 5 enemies. There's only 4 weapons. It gets a little dull.
The walls are all kind of the same.
Yeah, but Hexen started to get more 3D levels and all kinds of exciting. So yeah, maybe we'll do that. There's some other fun stuff that we'll be going into as we go further into the month, and we'll talk about, go more in depth into this in our next episode as well. But I'm excited. I'm glad that we get to announce the new topic tonight. And
so goodbye to Battle Month. Hello to Witches and Wizards.
Absolutely. Hope you guys are looking forward to it. And I'm
looking forward to making more stuff.
Me too. I'm going to make some stuff this month, which I haven't done for Battle Month, and I'm looking forward to that.
I think I have a very simple craft that I saw someone else do, but I'm putting my own spin on it. It's going to require the most simple things. A stick, some paper towels, some like Elmer's glue, and paint. That's really about all you need, unless you want to go to the executive level. And I'm going to try to have that up by the middle of the month.
Okay.
So if you're interested, stay tuned.
Yeah, check out Cyrus at Crafty Bastard Games on YouTube.
That's it.
You can check me out at 9 to 5 Gamer, also on YouTube. Check me out, I should say, on Twitch as well. I'm 9 to 5 Gamer on Twitch as well. I'm going to start streaming regularly. I'm going to start doing Thursday nights. I think at 7 is probably going to be my time to start. Thursdays at 7, right now at least, is what I'm planning on going forward with. So
and if you want to read any of the blogs that we've been putting up recently on the FoundryCast.
Yeah, FoundryCast.wix site. No, .wix.com/home.
/home?
Yeah, we need to update that web page to something simpler, but we'll do that eventually.
So thank you, as always, for listening. Until next time, I am your friendly neighborhood Energon Cube salesman.
And I am BJ Blazkowicz. And we'll see you guys next time on the FoundryCast. My mage in D&D is weak to sharks.
Which one?
Because I chose as my school of magic sloths. So like tree dwelling, slow moving. Yeah, you took. I'm weak to sharks. Because you always have an opposing school.
Yeah, air and slow, water fast. Exactly. Sharks are going to take them out.
Yeah, I'm weak to sharks.